Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to SimPlay Motorsport here for what is going
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to SimPlay Motorsport here for what is going to be the halfway stage of the season. It is now getting into that business end of that second half after tonight, where champions will be crowned, and it could be a very interesting back half this season, because the championship so far is very tight, and it is going to a different driver every other week. It seems to be changing drivers. There are so many still in contention that are roughly within that good margin here to pick up good points and to pick up good results, and that's going to be the key thing here at a tricky Laguna Seca to keep our eyes on. We've got 27 drivers in tonight. Basic has made the move up into the Pro category, so he will not be with us in Pro-Am anymore. He will now be in that Pro category, taking on them lot tomorrow night.
Laguna Seca, we stay in
For
America
that
another
one, we're
night.
here with Gray Langley. Gray, good evening. Laguna Seca, we stay in America another night, and this is going to pose a tricky challenge.
Yeah, for sure. We moved from the East Coast from Watkins Glen in New York all the way over to the West Coast to Laguna Seca in California. Much different weather than last week, for sure. It was absolutely pouring it down at Watkins Glen last week. Now we're to a much more drier climate in Laguna Seca, but different challenge. This track is well known for its elevation changes and the famous corkscrew. Up and down, side to side, as some would call it, a roller coaster. Yeah, I think I absolutely love this track. It is quite a one-line track, though. So if you make a little slip up, dip that wheel on the dirt. Actually, Laguna Seca was also the first time I ever did commentary with you last season.
Oh, there we go.
Or two seasons ago, I believe, when I was still in Pro-Am. I did it on the Pro race. But, yeah, and it's the same back then as it is now. Who can keep it clean? Who can keep their all four tires on the black stuff and keep their car pointed straight in this one? Because if you dip a wheel into that dirt, it could go south very quickly.
And the other thing to mention is that the temperatures tonight are hot. It is 26 degrees ambient at the moment. And if I just load up this other screen a second, you'll get to see there. This is only at 10 a.m. We're approaching 11 a.m. It is going to get hotter as this session goes on. The reverse grid race is scheduled for 12. I don't know why that should be 2. But the 2 o'clock race on the Sunday, it could be touching 40 odd degrees track temperature. That is really going to hurt the tyres around here.
Yeah, the last time we raced here, it was a night race, and it is not a night race this time, so the drivers will not be able to take advantage of cooler temperatures around here. But yeah, hot, very dry. You can, and you have a lot of corners that promote the sliding of the rear tires. So it can be very easy to get those rears overheated into a temperature window that you don't want. And with these very fast corners, it's very easy to just have the car step out on you, or even go deep in a corner. And the thing is, if you go deep in a corner, you don't have much margin for error to get a good traction zone out, because there's just dirt everywhere.
The championship standings then going into tonight for the silver category look like this. Steve Millington leads the way on 438 with his teammate Gary Leach in second on 401.5. As I'm just going to try and find a driver on track while I'm mentioning this. There we go, bounce the limiters just coming out the pit lane. Mirko Ricci is MP3 on 376 with Wolski on 348.5. Sam Greaves is P5 from Michael Johnson, who I think is having a terrific season, and you can see his pace in this session as well. He's right up there in this session. Tannen Ebone is P7. Can he waddle his way to the front of this championship standings this afternoon? That's going to be the interesting question there. Sorry, apologies. I've been told to get the waddle joke in there.
We're on a camera with each other at the moment, and I've just been shown the
you guys can't see, but we're on a camera with each other at the moment, and I've just been shown the middle finger by Langley. I was told to by Tanner to get one in there.
2 of them, actually.
Sam Williams is P8 from Keenan Stardog Knight. Kieran Argent rounds out P10 with Diego Flores P11. Tyler LeBlanc 12 from Hunt 13th. Sturrock 14th. Then it's Gabino, Williams, Jamie Lee, Andrew Taylor, Brian Craig, Bouncer Limiter, Richard Betts and Dronelander. And we're yet to see Cummins this season as Bouncer Limiter has a moment coming through the corkscrew there then. In that bronze championship, it is Peckman who is on 321 points from Cherry Moore 268, and Peckman Langley had a phenomenal race last time out, really was.
Malarex's P3
Just awesome in the rain at Watkins Glen. 2 fourth places for him. Malarex's P3, then it's Broom, Tucker, Stapley, Page, Privet, Taylor, Rob Smith, Simcoe and Ian Best we're yet to see so far. And SimPlay Racing have a commanding 209 point lead over the Greasy Bandits Racing team in the Constructors' Championship at the moment. Then it is Forever Forward Racing, who are a little bit further back from Greasy Bandits, 4Q Motorsport from Vanguard Race Team, Cloud9 Racing, Richie's Course Team, Team GBR, Team Merlo, Balkan Simhub, FRL Racing Team, Black and Blue Racing, Pages Racing Team, Billy Nomates, Mustang Alley Racing, and Quantum Motorsport. Langley, a track that should really suit this car tonight. Porsche should go well around Laguna Seca. But what other cars are we looking at tonight to do particularly well?
It's hard to say because you see some names that are usually at the front of the field, like Gary Leach is 20th in this practice session. You'd expect him further up. Same with Tanner Kneebone, 16th. Wants to keep making those jokes but won't put in the time on track. Anyway, yeah, with it being such a hot one, it can be tricky to find grip, just like last week, but in a different set of ways. I want to see if Peckman can capitalize off of his stellar performance last week. If he can keep that momentum, and he is the championship leader now, but I don't think he is the quickest car in the bronze category week in and week out. So we'll see what he can do tonight and for the rest of the season to stay consistent and try to hold on to that championship lead. I think when it does rain, wet is better for him in that case.
Yeah. And this is the race tonight where it isn't going to rain. It looks a beautiful forecast. The whole week through looks absolutely stunning, which is a shame because we've not had these temperatures yet this season. Even at Kyle Army, it was a little on the cooler side. Watkins Glen, wet. Brands Hatch was wet. You think back to Hungaroring, it wasn't overly hot and there was rain around for some of the races. So this is the first race, Langley, that these drivers are racing in these sort of temperatures this year.
Yeah, exactly. And you don't really... We're getting into that season, well, for at least next season, where it'll be summer and the temperatures will be really hot like this week in and week out. We're just coming out of winter going into the spring, but California, especially the West Coast, in these dry, desert-like conditions sometimes, it stays like this year-round, and it's always hot. So it is a big outlier. And even Kyalami wasn't even this warm when we went there. And I'm surprised to see with how hot it is that the track is not optimum. It's only fast still.
It is only fast, and that does surprise me a little bit as well. Langley, as we'll go through the grid order, in fact, and then we'll ask who you think's going to win. It's Betson from Limiter, should be Brian Craig, but it's now going to be Jamie Lee. Then Paul Williams, Gabino, Hunt, Tyler DeBlock from Flores, with Kieran Argent, Stardog, Sam Williams, Tanner Kneebone, Michael Johnson, Sam Greaves, Wolski, Mirko Ritchie, Gary Leach and Steve Millington will be at the back of the silver class, and in bronze it is Taylor, Privet, Stapley, Tucker, Broom, Cherry Moore and Peckman. Don't forget reverse grid for race number 1, and we'll see what happens. But Langley, if you had to pick a winner, who would you go for?
It's very tough to say. I still like Gerbino starting up that high, P4, but I still think your genuine contenders for this race win are still like down the field. I could see DeBlock doing well. He does quite well in these race ones. Kneebone does well. Johnson, I think, can mix it up. if I had to put, it's really hard to put a winner here because I think Hunt could win it too if he stays out of trouble starting P6. So I think I'll put my money on DeBlock for this one though.
Well, let's see what will happen with Tyler DeBlock. Sorry, I got the wrong button. I had the calendar loaded for a brief moment there. But you saw the calendar. We obviously at Snetterton next week. 2 weeks to our next 90-minute race of Indianapolis, which is an evening race. So really looking forward to that. And then we've got, I believe it's Imola, Valencia, and Donington Park as we end it. Yeah, I'm possibly looking at, Hunt tonight. I don't know. I've just got a feeling P6. Hard to overtake at Laguna Seca. The corners aren't sort of your normal everyday corners where you could think of making a move. Maybe turn one, maybe the final corner. So I fancy Hunt this evening. We'll see what he can do. Get your votes in for the chat. If you do pick other, please comment who you think. One vote in for Brian Craig. I doubt that one's going to happen because he's now starting from the pit lane. In fact, no, he's not even in the lobby anymore. We're actually missing 3 drivers. There is meant to be 27 tonight, so we are 3 drivers short at the moment. So it's a shame for them. We'll hopefully get them back in as this race starts in a few moments' time. But it is Richard Betson on pole from Bounce the Limiter. Aston versus Porsche. Who will come out on top? Well, Limiter is going to get the best start because he's got further in his box than Richard Bettison. And already Gabino going side by side with Paul Williams. And look at Tyler DeBlock there, having a look around the outside already. Hunt looking up the inside in towards turn 1 of Andretti Hairpin. Turn 2 of Andretti Hairpin. Through they go. Gabino has a bit of a slide on corner exit. That's going to allow Tyler DeBlock to have that inside line. Coming in towards turn number 3. And can he get through? No, he can't. DeBlock has a slide himself. Limiter, by the way, as Flores is back into the pits. Limiter under pressure from Betson already. Gabino still under pressure from that of DeBlock. Lots of yellow flags waving down the back end of the pack. And one of them is Mirko Ricci, Tanner Kneebone, Taylor in that one as well. And your bronze championship leader of Peckman was also involved. So what has happened there to these drivers down the field? Not sure. We didn't get to see that one, so we won't be able to use our new instant replay feature as Gary Leach gets all on the grass. Kieran Argent makes a move through the blind left-hander, and now Paul Williams forces the other Williams of Sam onto the grass. Up the inside goes Sam at the corkscrew, goes a little deep, somehow gets that move done. Gary Leach side by side with Michael Johnson in the background as well, and he doesn't get the move done there. Flores is back in the lobby, so we're up to 24. Ooh. And that's a spinning BMW. Was that Greaves? Yes, Sam it was. Greaves. So Hunt is still on the charge as Richard Bettison straight into the pits. Straight away, he is not messing around here. Wants that pit stop done.
Once that pit stop done, a very tricky pit entry here and some chaotic action on the first lap. We got another 3 wide down the front straight. I think that was the 2 SimPlay cars in that as well.
It is, with Michael Johnson, who's still looking to come through the middle of Gary Leach, who looks to the outside of his teammate Steve Millington, and round Andretti Hairpin, right round the outside. Steve not fighting his teammate too hard there, and through goes Gary Leach, up another position as Johnson gives Steve Millington a flash of the lights. Then Gabino has lost out to DeBlock. Kieran Argent up into 4th place. Let's see what he can do in his forever forward car. Can he finally get that fortune that he had from week 1 and get a good result here? Not driving on the gravel, he won't.
Gary had a really good start, was actually side by side with Kieran Argent going through the kink up toward the corkscrew and got crowded out of space. That's where he picked him up on the first lap on the dirt. And speaking of Gary, looking for a move into the corkscrew, looking to the outside, hard to make space there. It is hard to overtake, and if you are going to overtake, you kind of have to stick it up the inside if you want to get a move done cleanly. And Paul Williams defended the inside there. Gary still all over the back of the Aston Martin of Paul Williams into the final corner. Well, either one of them, well, Gary's on the outside. Paul Williams dips into the pit lane, and that's job done for him.
I was expecting Gary to come into the pits, but I assume when he saw Paul pit, he's decided to jump in as well. Gary does go well around this Laguna Seca circuit. In the past, Gary Leach has never taken a pole or a race win, but has always been there or thereabouts.
Kieran Argent and Gerbino contact, first corner, both around.
And that's why Kieran has come out the pit exit then. So this is going to allow Gabino to possibly lose out to Gary Leach. No, he won't. He manages to keep
Gary
going
got on
at
the grass.
moment as Johnson now looks up the inside of Gary Leach. Up the inside he goes. Porsche versus BMW. Gary's beloved Porsche gets through on Gary Leach. Michael Johnson fired up for tonight's race to block. Is on the leader of Bounce the Limiter. And we've had several pit runners in this race. Flores still not able to get in as De Block has a look. Can't get it done. Bounces over the sausage curb. Luckily, at a slower pace, so it didn't sling him off. But this has brought Kieran back into contention.
Yeah, you have to think long game there, and Kieran way too deep on the brakes. De Block gets out the way, and Kieran Argent into the gravel has to give that place back. I think De Block turned out of it to make sure he didn't get collected up in that. Smart heads up driving from De Block there, but Argent needs to get control of his car. He's all over the place right now.
He is all over the place at the moment, and if he wants to get that race win that he had in week one, he's got to calm this down and got to get it back to that week one
Gary's
form.
in the pits.
Stapley, by the way, is your net bronze leader in the pits. Broom pits as well, so Tucker carries on his way. The net pit leader from the bronze pit runners. I've just noted, oh no, Cherry Moore is there, and a stop-go penalty for Paul Williams. What a shame for him. But look at this, Wolski, Bettison, Williams, Millington and Hunt all having a tremendous kind of follow the leader moment up towards the corkscrew as they're all together in this one. Bettison has been jumped by Williams, Millington and Hunt in this race, and Johnson now on the back of Gabino. This is a moment, a matter of when, not if, because Johnson, his practice pace looked phenomenal, and so far he's showing that in the sprint race here. He looks quick tonight.
He is showing it, and he's taking advantage of other drivers' mistakes. Gary a little wide on the dirt, boom, straight up the inside and past him, and now putting Gabino under pressure.
Yeah, indeed he is. So Gary's done his pit stop. Where will Gary Leach come out? Stapley, Broom and Tanner Kneebone all in. Has Hunt came out ahead of Gary Leach? Yes, he has. So, I believe, has Steve Millington in this one then. So where is Millington? There he is. There's Sam. And where's Gary Leach? Stop-go penalty for Tanner Kneebone in this one. As Gary's actually lost out to Stapley in the pit lane. Well, Tanner will have to waddle back to the pit lane and do his stop-go penalty for this one. There is Tanner Kneebone with that stop-go penalty just behind. He's about to lose out to Stardog in this race as well as Mirko Ricci. Fastest lap, but down in 22nd place. Wolski and Millington going at it at the moment. And Greasy Bandits need to start clawing points back over SimPlay. Argent into the pit. And Johnson's having a look to the outside of Gabino. Can't get it done there. Makes a move through the blind left-hander.
Can't get it done
now
there.
Paul Williams forces the other Williams of Sam onto the grass. Up the inside goes Sam at the corkscrew. Goes a little deep. Somehow gets that move
always
done.
Known for being a great car in these traction zones, and with it being a little slippery today because of the heat, it can be a big advantage towards Johnson.
It really can. And there you've just seen a little look at the new replay function that we have for you from this week onwards. You just got to see that move that Sam Williams did at the corkscrew on the cars in front of him from earlier on in the race. Williams now ahead of Wolski, who's got Millington behind him. Where's Gary Leach? Down in 16th, behind Stapley, who's your net bronze leader. Argent's coming out the pits now, but he's lost out to Hunt. He's going to lose out to Sam Williams and Wolski and Millington. But Willie, because he'll have that inside line coming in towards the first corner, at the second corner of Andretti, hairpin, stop-go penalty for Tanner Kneebone. He's not done his. There goes Williams, there goes Wolski, there goes Argent. Will he feed into that of Steve Millington, or is Millington going to have a look up the inside? Argent turns in. Millington, little cautious, too cautious over the sausage curb, and Argent will keep hold of that position over Steve Millington. Michael Johnson in for potentially the undercut on Gabino here then, as Tyler De Block sets the fastest lap of the race.
He caught up to Bounce the Limiter one time, and as we immediately look over to him after the fastest lap, loses the rear end at turn 1. He is the quickest car on track right now. He excels in these sprint races, doesn't he, Matt? He keeps himself out of the initial incidents and cuts through the field quite quickly. He could have a good chance at this one. Yeah. We'll see where Johnson blends into the rest of the field.
Brian Craig unwell, so has had to pull out from this one. He wasn't able to do it in the practice session, so he's tried to fight it but couldn't do so. Gary's got past Stapley but went deep at the corkscrew. That's allowed Stapley through on the left-hander after, so Stapley fighting with Gary Leach here, trying to hold his own at the moment. Here comes Hunt though as Johnson exits the pit lane now. He's only just left his pit box. Hunt is through, Williams through, Wolski through, Argent stays ahead of Johnson. So does Millington and Bettison. Greaves, where's Gary Leach?
Wonder if he had an issue or it took tires on accident.
Maybe a bit of damage potentially as well. Well, Gary and Stapley and Stardog all come over the crest through turn 1 now into Andretti hairpin. There's Johnson on that inside line. Gary attacking the back of Stapley. There's Michael Johnson. Stapley will get through, as will Gary Leach. So the undercut for Gary Leach works over Michael Johnson. Now he's got to get past Stapley though if he wants to pull away from Johnson. Sam Williams, fastest lap of the race. Limiter and Gabino into the pits as Hunt is your net pit leader. And I think Hunt has pulled a blinder of a strategy in this one.
Yeah, Gary just went up the inside to get by Stapley. And Stapley now being passed by Michael Johnson as well. That Aston Martin falling down the field could now fall into the clutches of Stardog right behind him.
We have lost another driver. Tannen Ebone is into the pits. So Flores has struggled to get in and out. Jamie Lee is showing on the time screen, but I can't see him. We have lost another driver. I'll try and figure that one out for you when we can see who it is. But at the moment, it is all going well for that of Hunt in this race so far. Has he jumped Gabino and Limiter? Let's wait and see, because they're not off the limiters yet. As they come towards that pit limiter line, yeah, Hunt clear, absolutely clear with Williams and with Wolski. Argent a little further back, so Hunt sitting in the box seat at the moment in this race, but Williams is closing.
Williams is closing, and where will Tyler DeBlock blend into this fight? Yeah, I'm actually surprised at how close this field really is. Sometimes the incidents split them up, but this top 10 is like all within a second of each other.
It's been pretty good, hasn't it, so far? And even back down to Johnson, who's trying to gain on Gary. Stapley still ahead of Stardog. We've got Broom trying to catch his teammate Privet and get past there for a few more points. Mirko Ritchie's on the rear of Peckman in this race. It was Steve Millington who had the disconnection because he's just rejoined the lobby, and that is a spinner in front, and I believe that may have been Paul Williams. Yes, it was. He returns to the pits. As can Mirko Ritchie get this job done? So dramas for the championship leader as here goes Mirko Ritchie, pulls out, has a look, can't do anything with it there. Sam's now within 6/10 of Hunt as Tucker is into the pit lane.
Cherry Moore. Oh yeah, Cherry Moore still has not made his pit stop. I was looking around for the other bronze drivers and did not see him. I was confused for a second, but yeah, we'll see how this plays out. Sam Williams closed to 6/10. Looks like he dropped a little bit in that last sector though, because he is now. Oh no, he's about 8/10 now. So dropped a little bit in that last sector, but still closing down. Tucker coming out the pit lane now.
Yeah, here comes Stapley, your bronze race leader. He's got past Tucker, so still your net bronze race leader in this one. So Millington will drop points in this first race, and obviously drop scores still take effect until week 8. That is the last round of drop scores, meaning that the last 2 weeks will not count towards it. And here comes Williams on the back now of Hunt. Needs a good result, does Sam, this season. Yet to see Sam have that blinding result that we know he can have. And as he comes through turn number 6, up the hill towards turn 7, can Williams look to maybe get alongside on the exit of this corner? Very tricky corner to get right. The hardest corner on the circuit, I find. As Millington puts in the chat, my Xbox overheated and turned itself off. What a shame for Steve Millington. Gabino putting Limiter under pressure with Argent, and Bettison isn't far behind. Neither is Sam Greaves. As here goes Gabino into the corkscrew he goes and stays behind Limiter. Bettison a little deep in the background there. Thought he was going to hit the back of Kieran Argent. He's gone across the gravel, and that's going to allow Sam Greaves up the inside. De Block has done his pit stop and is on his way. He's moving, but Mike Hunt comes out the final corner, and De Block still on pit road. And look at Wolski, possibly in for another net podium here as they both go through. Does Wolski get ahead? Yes, he does. What about Limiter and the others? This could be a huge loss for Tyler De Block. There goes Limiter, there goes Gabino, there goes Argent, and Sam Greaves might even get through. Steve Millington is not in this contention, and Sam Greaves does get through. So De Block down to 8th place in this one, provided he comes out behind Sam Greaves, because he's alongside him going in towards turn number 3, and Sam gets the job done. But Hunt leads over Williams with 2 laps to go.
Yes, he does, and you know Hunt is going to defend this one quite aggressively. He hasn't won in a while. I don't even remember the last time if he has won in SimPlay.
No, I can't think back neither. Did he take a race win? I think maybe last season. Not 100% sure, but either way, he wants to take a race win. If you're wondering who the most successful is around here, it is Dan Davis. 3 pole positions and 5 wins to his name. I'm also on that list with 1 win, no poles. Apparently that would have been back in the Project Cars 2 days. Langley as well. No wins, no poles, 1 win. What a guy.
I remember that one because I came home, did Laguna Seca with no practice, and fought Vitas and Benny Varga for that win.
Probably a classic battle as well. One of the SimPlay classics. As here goes to block. Sorry, here goes Argent up the inside of Sam Greaves. Or is that Sam Greaves attacking the outside of Argent? They both make contact, and through goes Tyler de Block. So he makes the move stick on the 2 in front of him, and Tyler de Block there manages to gain 2 places. But we're on that final lap. Can Sam Williams try and chase this down? But look at this queue behind de Block. Now you've got Bettison, Johnson, Stardog, Bettison, Johnson, Greaves, Argent, and then de Block. Gabino fending off Bounce the Limiter. In fact, it's all behind Bounce the Limiter, to be fair. Classics as here goes to block. Sorry, here goes Argent.
Massive
up the inside of Sam Greaves. Or is that Sam Greaves attacking the outside of Argent? They both make contact, and through goes Tyler de Block.
Gabino gets a good run out that corner. Is he going to have a look on Bounce the Limiter around the outside? Not going to happen, but de Block will look up the inside of Gabino. Slight contact, but still clean. Even more contact on the exit. De Block now has the inside for the kink. It's going to be tough to make it around there. De Block does not hit the curb on the inside, and here that opens the door for Kieran around the outside into the corkscrew, laid on the brakes and gets it done.
Yeah, good move, Kieran Argent, as we move back to the front of the field now. Here comes Mike Hunt at the moment. You've just saw the replay of Tyler de Block's move on Sam Greaves and Kieran Argent at this corner, but Mike Hunt has a little wiggle out the final corner. That isn't going to cost him too much, although here comes Sam Williams, but to the line. Hunt wins from Williams with the fastest lap. Wolski back on the podium, P3, and Bounce the Limiter may be thankful this is the end, because de Block looks racy, and Bounce the Limiter will finish 4th from Tyler de Block. Kieran Argent P6 from Gabino and Sam Greaves by 58 hundredths of a second. Then is Johnson, Bettison, Stardog. Stapley wins in bronze. He finishes ahead of Gary Leach. Broom, another podium for him, 2nd in bronze. Great result for Neil Broom. Cherry Moore, at the moment, has lost even more points to Peckman in this one as well. He needs to find that form once again, does Cherry Moore, in this race. And we'll see if he can do so. Cherry Moore from then... Peckman rounds out the bronze podium from Cherry Moore. Privet will be P5 in that bronze class and 18th overall. Tucker in for 19th place. For him, Tannen Ebone, after the stop-go penalty, will be P20. Diego Flores finishes the race 7 laps down. That's because he couldn't come into the server properly, so he will score points for that one as we wait for Tannen Ebone and Taylor, and Paul Williams is in the pits, but he finished within that 3/4 distance, so will score points as well. What an opening race, Langley.
Yeah, for Hunt had to have been holding his breath to the line. Just a little squirrely out the last corner, a little loss of traction. Almost cost him the win at the line. 1/10 of the difference of the gap for the win in 2nd place. Great race, even great result for Sam Williams and Wolski as well, back on the podium.
Indeed it was. We, though, are going to take a very short break. Welcome back then, ladies and gentlemen, to SimPlay Motorsport here for race number 2, or for qualifying, should I say, for race number 2. We have got Jamie Lee in the lobby now as well. We are up to 24 drivers, so Jamie Lee back in, Diego Flores, Linson, O'Brien, Craig, no Simcoe, which would take us to 26. And there is another one missing that I can't think of for tonight, sadly. So no 27 cars, it looks like, at this moment in time. But let's see what will happen. We're on board with Taylor at the moment, because it is the bronze qualifying. And I've just double-checked. For the first time ever in Pro-Am, it is only the bronze drivers that are on the track. So what a start. We're getting there.
Well, don't jinx it yet. But yeah, not too many bronze drivers tonight as well. Only 7 of them out there tonight. So we'll have to ring up the person who makes the splits and sort that out better for next season. Probably shout at him a little bit too.
Yeah, he'll be shouted at tonight along with some others.
Yeah, already been shouted at by him as well. But Peckman is the head of the field early, 3/10 ahead of Privet. Very, very good from Peckman to finish on the podium. That race one, building on his momentum from absolutely outstanding performance last round. Stapley goes a 10th ahead of them, and Cherry Moore 5 milliseconds, 5 thousandths behind Peckman after their first laps are done.
And let's look at this now, right? So we was looking at this being a Page versus Cherry Moore championship. We were saying 2 weeks ago. Page missed last week and has missed this week, sadly. Stapley's come into this late on and has hit the ground really running with podiums in the bronze category. And then Peckman as well has really, started to come back into this championship. This really opens the door for like a 3, when Page comes back. Neil Broom's also having a good run at the moment. So, he's picked up a few podiums.
Yeah, Peckman's performance last week has basically propelled him to the front. So it's almost just like having that foundation and holding on for the rest of the season while the rest of the pack tries to chase him down. He just has to keep it consistent now. But yeah, like you said, there's a lot of variety now as he goes back up to the top of the timing screens, Peckman does. But there's been a lot of variety on the podium in the bronze class, and it's very good to see up and down that field with, like you said, Peckman and Cherry Moore have emerged as the championship favorites. But Stapley, like you said, is right there, and he's been right there between the two of them consistently. And Neil Broom has been picking up podiums as well. And it's, I think Tucker got a podium one week as well, and it's been amazing to see.
Well, I can run you through the championship standings in the bronze while we wait for another lap to be set. Peckman leads the way by, he's just had a bit of an off there, so let's go down to Privet, who's the next car. Peckman 357, Cherry Moore 302. Now remember, this is provisional results before drop scores, before any penalties for tickets that may come in for the stewards. Broom is now up to third on 276, Malarex 260, Stapley 245.5. So when you think about that, Stapley's only just over 100 points behind Peckman. Page is the big loser at the moment with missing a couple of weeks. Privet's Tucker's 6th, Page 7th, Privet is 8th. Then it's Taylor, Rob Smith, who we hope to see back out on track soon. Obviously, the news of some bad news within the family is why Rob Smith hasn't been around for the last few weeks. Simcoe not been here the last couple of weeks, and Ian Best yet to get going. But Bestie at times, if he was to be back on that grid, we've seen Bestie at times be running at the front. If you think back to early on last season, he was challenging Richard Bettison, who became a bit of a runaway leader at the end. If Bestie come back into this fold, he could also then, yes, into the back half of the season, he's not going to win it, but he could take points off of other drivers.
Exactly, and he'd probably be right up there on the podium steps for a few races as well. It'd be interesting to see what happens in the Bronze Championship, and I like that we've split the championships and now we have this split qualifying as well, because it gives us a chance to step back and focus on the other championship, because we can get so caught up with the main overall championships in both series.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we get to focus on the bronze drivers a little more.
Just allows us to see them fight for something as well, doesn't it? Allows us to see the bronze drivers.
Yeah,
have a real go.
and on top of that, not just results, or not just results driven. It helps us see the improvement, and Cherry Moore is probably the best example of that. He was around the back of the pack of the bronze field, and has just steadily, consistently improved, and is in for the title fight this year.
As Privet improves up into P3, remember the silver drivers can line up at the end of the pit lane with just before the 10-minute mark, and then it is single file out the pits for them to do the final 10 minutes. If you're wondering why the silver drivers aren't out there, is Cherry Moore crosses the line and goes 5/10 faster than Neil Broom at the moment, who's in second place. So heck of a lap that from Broom. Tucker doesn't improve there. Broom, the last one to come around. And this is one week where we can, safely say that the track isn't going to go from like green to fast, fast to optimum. It isn't going to be drier from like a wet to a damp circuit. This week, the track, it'll have marginal improvements, but it's not going to improve a massive amount for when these silver drivers come out here. So Cherry Moore, who we've seen in the last few weeks in the wetter, cooler conditions, be up there with the silvers. Can he be up there with his lap time with the silvers this week?
I'm kind of surprised Peckman hasn't gone back out there after making his mistake. So not sure why he stayed in the pits since he is allowed to go back out, but he would not be able to get another lap in at this point. So P4 in the bronze is all the maximum it is. And Cherry Moore has been very good in qualifying. He is the favorite for pole pretty much week in, week out. Definitely the fastest car, but has had some issues in the races avoiding incidents, and that is why he's not the championship leader right now. And if he can keep it consistent, keep it on track, and absolutely dunks on the rest of the bronze field in this one, basically Cherry Moore's shown the pace that no matter if he wins bronze or not, he will be up in silver next season. So he only really has one chance to win this bronze championship. So he's got to put the hammer down, get the consistency down, and it could be his.
Well, Taylor's come out the pits. He's going to try and hope he's not going to get another lap time in. So this will be the end for Taylor here. He's going to cross that line and not be able to set another lap time. So he's down in 7th place. Cherry Moore, Broom and Stapley all on one more lap. Stapley would love half a second to put him onto the front row of the bronze grid. But what a gap for Cherry Moore. That could put him right in the top 15 of the silver category when they come out to qualify. And he could be on an improved lap here because he's still going through the corkscrew.
Yeah, there's only 3 cars that are still going. That's Cherry Moore, Stapley, and Neil Broom right now.
As you see the silvers flood out of the pit lane to start their 10 minutes. Taylor is done. Stapley is done. And here comes Cherry Moore then. So it's Cherry Moore versus Neil Broom. Can Neil Broom find 1.2 seconds? Or is he going to have to find a whole lot more? No, it stays at the 1.245 seconds. So what can Neil Broom do in this qualifying session?
Nonetheless, whether I don't think he'll find 1.2. We'll see as he comes to the line here. But nonetheless, P2, very impressive qualifying result for Neil Broom here.
Getting stronger every week is Neil Broom at the moment. He's just starting to get a few more consistent podiums and just be up there a little bit as he finds nearly half of that time. 7/10 off the back of Cherry Moore. But Cherry Moore is your your bronze pole position for Laguna Seca then, as we're on board now with Michael Johnson, who is the lead car, about to start his flying lap. And this is the other thing I like, Langley. Just as the last bronze finishes their last flying lap, the silvers are literally about to start theirs, so we're not missing any of the action.
Yeah, I love that. And that's great from Neil Broom to improve there, because that's going to put cars in between him and Privet, if any. And that is still a 6/10 gap to the next car behind him, so still great lap there. Cherry Moore, just the class of the field in qualifying. Just needs to keep it out of trouble in the race, and the points will start coming back to him.
If you had to have a tip for pole, I'm looking at this man. You know, he was only 5 thousandths off of Sam Williams in free practice. Now, all right, the track is optimum. It's got grippier. It's got better. And yes, it's a lot warmer than what the free practice time was. But I think this man for pole position. Also, just a quick reminder, you're still seeing a few silvers sat in the pit lane. That is because Bettison, Jamie Lee, and Keenan Stardog, as Johnson has made a horrible mistake there, and off he goes. So we'll go to Hunt now, who'll be the first man.
Commentators
curse indeed. But yeah, Jamie Lee, Richard Bettison, and Keenan Stardog all have to serve a qualifying ban from a penalty carried over from last week. Phil Atherton in the chat says, "Good evening, loving these loving the new feature and loving the commentary this evening." Thank you very much, Phil. Good evening to Peaceful Stepdad as well in the chat this evening. And was Mr. Dainsman, good evening to you. Steve Millington, obviously, as we know, Gary Clarble, Walkman Lizard, and to Mock Orsian and Swindlemack in the chat. Good evening to all of you in there. Remember, if you are new, hit that thumbs up button if you like what you see here. Subscribe to the channel if you are new, and hit the bell to be notified as drivers starting to finish their final flying their first flying laps. Mirko Ritchie, currently the pole sitter in that. No, it's now Tyler de Block. Where will Kieran Argent feed into all of this as we go down to bounce the limiter? Argent into 7th. And is that Jamie Lee about to set a lap time? It is indeed. So that'll be one for the stewards to look at, as he's meant to be on a qualifying ban.
And that Gary Leach goes pole in the silver class, and it's showing how impressive that lap time is from Cherry Moore. Now, take it with a pinch of salt. These first lap times, they are still kind of getting their tires into the correct pressure window and temperature. But these second lap times should definitely be a big improvement and a lot closer to Cherry Moore. But 7/10 is a big gap. Big gap.
Imagine if Cherry Moore took the outright pole position here tonight. That'd be absolutely crazy for to see what he can do. Like you say, 7/10, a big amount of time to get a lap time in. We'll see if it can be beaten as Johnson comes to the line, crosses it, but I don't think he got a lap time on the board. No, him and Tanner, the only two without getting a lap time on the board. And then Gary Leach now.
Johnson went back to the pits, that's why.
That's why. So Gary Leach crosses the... Hunt crosses the line. He's P12. Tanner Kneebone got a lap time in. Let's go and find the 840, which is that of Mr. de Block, as Sam Williams. Only 4/10 off the back of Cherry Moore now. Tyler de Block within a 10th and a bit. Now let's find the 437 of Jamie Lee. Not meant to be qualifying in this session, so that'll go to the steward's room at the end of this one. So what will he do as he moves up into P11 as well? Wolski now up into P4. Again, this man, Langley, Wolski...
Leach up into P3.
Wolski goes so under the radar.
Yeah.
In qualifying and in the races. It's incredible how much he just is so quiet about taking a podium.
Yeah, he hasn't been on the podium in a few races, but that race one, he's back on the podium, and dare I say, back to his old ways of snatching those podiums out of nowhere, and a very good result for him. And he looks really quick around here tonight. And Cherry Moore is still on pole, so that is that's definitely one for us to keep our eyes on. Even Neil Broom, P7 right now. How about that?
Yeah, that's an incredible qualifying lap from Neil Broom as Johnson goes up into P number 8. Here comes Hunt towards the line, and he moves up into 15th. Tanner Kneebone stays in P10, the 32. We're going to pick up the 94 of Sam Williams before the 22 of Kieran Argent, as Sam Williams takes that overall pole position by 0.2 of a second. Argent rounds the final corner. Where will this put Kieran Argent in qualifying? 1.6 off the pole, currently behind the top 3 in bronze as well. He's now got himself ahead of Privet as Gabino moves into 7th. The 107 of Wolski, Mr. Quiet himself. Can he put himself any closer to the front? No, he cannot this time around. The 840 of Tyler de Block needs 0.2 to get onto the front row of the grid and to put himself within touching distance of Sam Williams. Has he been able to get closer? Again, no, he has not. Paul Williams down the bottom end of the field, not going as well as Paul Williams can around Laguna Seca here. And he doesn't improve either. Sam Greaves, P8 at the moment. 9/10 separating the top 8. And it stays 9/10 between the top 8. Johnson, though, one flying lap straight into P11. Not a bad qualifying so far. He just needs to get that one good lap that he did in practice in.
Yeah, and he'll get a couple more shots at it. So we'll see. That moment probably offset him a little bit as he crosses the line again to start another lap. He'll get 2 more laps in. So to get those pressures up in the correct window and the temperatures in a good window, I think he should still be on for a top 10 here.
He should indeed. The 437 has pulled off the track. That is Jamie Lee. Back to the pits he goes. Here comes Gabino. Argent ahead on an invalid lap with Steve Millington. Down in 16th place for Steve Millington at the moment. And Millington comes to the line. Gabino stays 7th. Millington up into that top 6 position. So a good lap from him. What can his teammate do, though, who's about to come to the line? As Wolski moves now up into 3rd overall. So he improves it. Gary goes into 4th. So the top 6 separated by half a second at the moment. This is turning into one heck of a qualifying so far. And Johnson has had a moment. He can pit and come back out to get one final run in. But our attention turns to Hunt. A lot of silver drivers in the pits currently. Will they come out to get one last chance in this qualifying session then? But so far, Sam Williams, fastest lap, a 2nd place. And so far, pole position by 0.2 of a second. Cherry Moore's lap time was that good. He's still on the front row so far.
Still on the front row. And it's not the first time we've seen this out of Cherry Moore. So that's why we're not like over exuberant about this. We know Cherry Moore has had some great qualifying pace recently, and very glad to see that he is continuing that trend. We'll see what he can do in the race. Can he challenge these front runners? Can he keep up with them over a 60-minute race distance? We'll see.
Yeah, we will see indeed what Cherry Moore can do over this course of the race distance and obviously, of course, throughout the rest of the season. Who's coming towards the end of a lap? Wolski is 2/10, just under 3/10 he needs to get onto the back of Sam Greaves then. Let's see what he can do. To the line he comes, doesn't find an improvement. Gary behind him doesn't also find an improvement. The 840 of Tyler DeBlock rounds the final corner. Can he find anything in this qualifying session? Neil Broom, by the way, as Tyler DeBlock goes quickest by 1/10. Neil Broom, by the way, still P10. So 2 bronze drivers in the top 10. Heck of a qualifying session. They'll be pleased with their work today.
I'll tell you what, DeBlock's showing us why he should stop retiring from races, because he keeps having to serve these quali bans, and he's now showing us that he has the pace to be right at the sharp end of this field. And great lap time from him. Sam's coming around the last couple. Hunt is coming around the last corner now, and Sam not too far behind him.
Hunt might squeeze one extra lap in here, you know. It'll be very tight, but he might be the only man to get a final lap in. He will be the only man to get a final lap in. Moves up into P10. What can Sam Williams do? There is Mirko Ricci just in front of him. Does Mirko improve? He goes P5. Sam back to the top of the timing screens by 0.3 of a second. The 626 of Tanner Kneebone. He moves up into P11 now then. So what about the 304 of Bounce the Limiter, down in 18th place? Can the 304 get anything done? Cherry Moore raising a ticket for race 1 with a sausage curb, says Cherry Moore. Bounce the Limiter up to 17th. Wolski stays P4 in this one. Gary Leach will stay in 6th, so no improvement there for him. And Jamie Lee, what can he do? We've still got Paul Williams, the 96 of Sam Greaves. Hunt didn't do his last lap, and we've still got Michael Johnson out there as well, as Jamie Lee moves up into 13th place. And here comes Paul Williams now then, to be the next man to finish qualifying, down in 22nd. He'd love to find a bit more of an improvement here. Can he work his way up that timing order? Sam is slow, so Sam is going to be done. Where is Michael Johnson? Williams up to 22nd. Johnson up to 30th. Couldn't translate that practice pace into his qualifying session. But there we go. Cherry Moore, P3 overall. Great qualifying from the bronze driver. And Sam Williams, your pole sitter. What a night this is turning into for Sam Williams at the moment.
Just gotta keep your fingers crossed that he doesn't run into any issues. And the main race, how many times has he been in the driver's seat, pun intended, for a race win over a weekend, or has shown some of the best pace we've seen out of the field, and it just not come to fruition. Is tonight the night? I know he wanted the feature race at Donington last season, because I was not commentating for that one. So maybe I'm the monkey on his back. Maybe he needs to shed me off tonight.
Well, we'll see what happens. As again, I've brought up the calendar, so it must be a key that I've binded to my keyboard to keep bringing that one up. And there you can see the track info of Watkins Glen. Who's your money on for this race, Langley?
It's got to be one of those two McLarens. The block showed flying pace in race 1. Starting a bit further down, was not able to make it a race win, but if Sam can stay ahead turn 1,
yeah,
he should win this race, because you even saw it with Hunt, who is down in 10th right now. It was very hard to overtake him because there's not a lot of heavy braking zones around this track. So if Sam gets to the first apex first, my money's on him. Let's hope no one goes bowling, though.
Yeah, this isn't Watkins Glen, so hopefully nobody goes bowling, but we'll see what happens as Sam lines up against from the block. Cherry Moore, your bronze pole sitter, on row 2 with Wolski. Row 3, as I've now pressed drive, so cannot go through the rest of the grid. I'll have to do that at the start of the race. So
I can go through the grid if you want me to.
You take us through the rest of the grid.
So it's Sam Williams starting on pole position, Tyler DeBlock joining him on the front row. Then we have your bronze pole sitter, Cherry Moore, lining up the second row and third. Then we have Wolski 4th, Richie 5th, Gary Leach 6th, Steve Millington P7, Sam Greaves P8, Garbino P9, Mike Hunt P10, Tanner Kneebone P11, Neil Broom P12, Michael Johnson P13, 14th is Jamie Lee, Kieran Argent 15th, Privet is 16th, Bounce Limiter 17th, Peckman 18th, Stapley 19th, Paul Williams 20th, Mick Taylor 21st, Stardog 22nd, Richard Bettison 23rd, Diego Flores rounds out your grid in 24th.
So that then is your grid for race 2. I fancy Sam for this one. I know it's probably going to give him the commentator's curse. I know I've probably just ruined his evening. But it's hard to look past Sam in this one, isn't it? He's such a quick driver. And we say it every week, especially when he has a good qualifying. When will that race 2 finally start to go his way? As we'll see what happens in this race. Langley has just stepped away momentarily. So we'll see what happens in this race as we get ready to go for the second race of tonight. Remember, we head back to British soil for the Pro-Ams and the Who Darren Cup next week. But we have the Pro Series tomorrow night taking on Laguna Seca, and it is another scorcher there. A little bit warmer for tomorrow night. So we'll see what happens. As well, that's another thing to discuss, Langley. Tyres have to be taken surely in this race.
Yeah, I don't think it's a discussion with this one. I remember not taking tires when I last raced here. It wasn't too bad, but it was 20 degrees cooler as well. So, yeah, I think tires are definitely a must in this race. The 5 seconds you'll definitely make up over a stint's time, especially if you start to get some overheating.
Yeah, and what is it? It's what's the ambient temperature? I can't quite see it at the moment.
20. It's 28 right now, 38 track temp.
So there you go. I said we'd be touching the 40s. We might be within that hour. It is 4 minutes past 2 in the afternoon, here at Laguna Seca, and we're about to get ready for the second race and the final race of the evening. As Sam Williams is on pole position from that of Tyler DeBlock, who will come out on top though, as it is green and go. We can now return back to the pit lane to do our normal business. But Tyler De Block gets a pretty good start. Cherry Moore also comes alongside with Wolski in towards turn 1. Leach looking to the outside, and look at De Block as Leach fancies making this one 3 wide through turn number 1. De Block gets underneath for turn number 3 though. Here comes Tyler De Block looking up the inside. Leach and Wolski still 3 wide though. That was with Mirko Ricci, and De Block leads going into turn 4. Williams trying to fight back strong but can't, and Gary Leach and Wolski there nearly coming together. There is a yellow flag, I believe it is the 437. Jamie Lee looked like he was a little bit slow, and what has happened to the 888 of Neil Broom? He has tumbled right down the order with some damage to his car.
What a start for De Block. I thought Sam might have got his elbows out. He might do it if he does catch back up to De Block, because De Block did not pay him the same favor as Sam did at the first corner in terms of racing room given. So, yeah, great start for De Block, though, out and away up front.
Indeed it is. Apologies there that I just had to sort something out a quick second. Is Gary still going 3 wide with Wolski and Cherry Moore into the final corner. Cherry Moore's gone very wide to avoid that one, and that's dropped him a couple of places to Hunt and to Greaves. And Wolski trying to fend off that of Hunt, now nearly putting Hunt in the pit wall there as they nearly come together on pit straight. And Hunt now, straight into the back of Wolski goes Hunt, and that was all going to happen. You just saw that one coming with how close they got to the pit wall. And that has put Wolski off the track as he reverses back on now, and will try and grab a replay of what has just happened into the final corner. Cherry Moore's gone very wide to avoid that one, and that's dropped him a couple of places to Hunt and to Greaves. And Wolski trying to fend off that of Hunt, now nearly putting Hunt in the pit wall there as they nearly come together on pit straight. And Hunt now, straight into the back of Wolski goes.
And here comes Hunt as Wolski must have braked a little earlier than Hunt was expecting, and bang, into the rear of Hunt. Hunt goes off Wolski as we back to the live action. That was Tan and Ebo all out of shape there. He was waddling all over the curbs just a moment ago, and Sam now leads in this race once again.
De Block's lost the lead. Gary was all over the back of Tyler De Block there through the middle sector. I'm not sure how he lost the lead. I can look back real quick if you'd like me to. Yeah, but yeah, Sam's back out front now, and we'll see what the pace is like, but these top two look pretty similar to each other.
They do at the moment. Here's Stardog trying to get onto the back of Paul Williams. Further down the order, Peckman, who's losing a lot of points to Cherry Moore. Don't forget, points are scored for overall positions, not per category. So, huge chunk of points that Peckman's losing. He's down in 19th place. And look at this, Privet and Broom going wheel to wheel with Bouncer Limiter. They've all got damage on the front end. Privet looking to get up the inside line of that of Bouncer Limiter, can't do so. Broom's going to come right around the outside of Privet. Lovely little opportunistic move from Neil Broom there. Wolski as well looks up the inside of Privet. They make contact and a bit more contact, and Wolski's around again. And you have to say Wolski there forced that move by shoving one up the inside, and that one a bit more on Wolski than the one before. Flores has gone through. There goes Taylor. Tucker and Bettison are also going to try and come through as well. But yeah, Wolski, we said he goes quietly under the radar. Well, he's going to have to work really hard to get back in this one.
Yeah, he's going to have to put up a stellar performance now to get back up the field in this one. The top three all pretty close to each other. Gary Leach, the fastest lap, but De Block basically pushing Sam around these final corners right now. Sorry, have a look at this.
Not sure what's happened there. Kieran Argent and Stapley was off the circuit at the corkscrew. We was watching Gabino and didn't get to see what happened there. So Sam went deep. De Block and Gary Leach now on the rear. Who has got the fastest lap out of these three? It is back to Gary Leach just as De Block took it back. And De Block may fancy a look into turn one. Pulls out, tucks back in, and is going to patiently wait for this one as Gary is also biding his time.
Yeah, Gary's waiting to see if these two run into each other again. He's just not going to say the saying yet, but if he does sneak through the two of them, you could definitely say a classic Gary Leach line if these two come together.
100% you can then, as we say. Good evening to Cairns, I've just noticed, who is in the chat. So this is an interesting start to this race. We're on with Stapley, Jamie Lee, Stardog and Paul Williams. Paul Williams, great start to this race, by the way. He's up to 13th from 22nd in this one already. Yeah, he
was racing the likes of Kieran Argent.
He's just gone off at the corkscrew as we was watching Gabino.
Ah, okay.
And where is Gabino gone? Him and Argent ended up off at the corkscrew. Argent's got back on better than... In fact, Argent's got some rear-end damage, so I wonder if Stapley has hit the rear of Argent. Well, Stapley looks okay at the moment. Johnson has got past Tan and Ebone. He's putting pressure on Steve, who's still trying to put pressure on Cherry Moore. But look at these top three. Within just a handful of tenths, they could probably touch each other if they put their hands out the window. They are so close at the moment. And Gary Leach just trying to find a way onto the back of the block, who's just gone into the gravel at the exit to the final corner.
A little bit wide for the block. Sam was a little bit wide last lap and held on. We'll see if Gary forces the issue, has a look up the inside. The block shuts the door. Very good driving, very good defending. Greaves behind him, Hunt behind him, and then you look at this pack behind. Millington trying to force the issue with Cherry Moore, but Johnson right behind there waiting for a slip up, and then Kneebone behind all three of them. And as I say that, Johnson dips a wheel onto the dirt. Kneebone gonna have a look. Can't really go around the outside there though. But yeah, it's what I mean. Who can keep their car on the track the most? Because just that little dipping the wheel in the dirt can make you lose 2 positions sometimes.
It could indeed. This is back on Paul Williams, who's got Stardog, Jamie Lee and Peckman, who needs to make up ground on the back of him. Stardog just pulling out to have a look on Paul Williams, and behind you've got Peckman and Lee going side by side in towards the left-hander. Bit of contact between Lee and Peckman there. They both get away with
Steve's
it for the time
looking
being.
for a move on Cherry Moore in the corkscrew. They make contact, and Cherry Moore is sideways and then collects Steve Millington back down the hill, and that leaves the door open for Johnson and Kneebone to move up the grid.
And Mirko Ritchie as well. Gabino gets ahead of Cherry Moore. Has Cherry Moore got back going? He has, just ahead of Argent, so he's only lost
the 2 championship leaders.
The 2 championship lead? No, because Cherry Moore's second in the bronze category at the moment, but I know what you mean. Who was that on? Because we jumped back to that just as Cherry Moore was backwards.
It was, it's hard to say. You know the corkscrew. It's more like a one-line corner. You need a compliant opponent to be able to make an overtake around there. Steve was on the inside, but that inside line kind of does shift towards the outside in the braking zone. So it's hard to say. I'd have to look back. But basically Steve staying on the left, which became the right, kind of moved over into Cherry Moore. I wouldn't say it's his fault, but then it caused Cherry Moore to go spinning around and almost flying off the corkscrew.
Oh, that's a huge moment for Tyler de Block, nearly into the side of Gary, and gets a big tank slapper, and off he goes. Has he got damage? I didn't see him hit the wall because the camera moved as it followed Gary up the hill. He has big front end damage, and that's going to lose him out to Steve Millington, and that was all on his own. It was a great fight, and I was noticing the 207 of Mick Taylor was massively off, and it looked like he was heading back to Watkins Glen. He's off again, and Gary Leach now up to second.
He's off again. The block's off again down the left-hander. It has gone bad from worse. A great first race, and down toward the back of the field in this one. Oh, that's a shady rejoin in the bronze pack there. Very good driving from everyone for no contact to happen, but someone else is off.
Yeah, that's Mick Taylor off still, so he's still not rejoined. Tucker has had a moment as well. Does he have any damage? I've noticed coming up the hill. He had a yellow flag. No damage to him. To block straight into the pit lane. But that's put Greaves onto the podium. You know, Hunting could be in for a double podium tonight. He's looked really good at Laguna Seca. Yes, he had that incident with Wolski, but so far so good for Hunt. Kneebone's gaining or sticking to the back of Johnson at the moment. And well, he had a heavy defeat in race number 1, didn't he, with that stop-go penalty. It was as heavy as Miami Dolphins beating the Denver Broncos a few years ago. There you go, Langers. I've got one back for you this time. But now he looks a lot better in this second race. The problem in his race 1 for him, though, was a stop-go penalty. So he's got to make sure he hits them markers dead on before entering the pits.
Yeah, and you mentioned Greaves and Hunt. This is shaping up to be a great night for the likes of 4Q Motorsport. Already a win in race 1 and now running on the podium in race 2 with the next car right behind them, shaping up to be a big haul of points. I think Steve Millington's off at the corkscrew. I see a yellow flag.
Yes,
he
is.
Is.
Contact!
Did.
Contact from Stardog and believe Paul Williams have hit Steve Millington. Steve has got some big damage, still can't get it moving as traffic is coming. That is Flores and Wolski. Wolski now has crept himself up into 18th place, so keep your eyes on his progression in this one. And Peckman is now only 5 positions behind that of Cherry Moore. As Cherry Moore, no, might be even before now because he's past Millington as it updates. But Kneebone sticking with Johnson. Sam's now started to pull away from Gary. Gary drops a wheel in the sand. They're 5 seconds clear of Greaves and Hunt, who's got 2.8 back to Johnson and Kneebone. Mirko's P7. Not seen much of Mirko tonight. Not going to be honest. He had a good qualifying, but his 2 races haven't been outstanding at the moment. He's coming under pressure from Gabino. Argent's 9th from Cherry Moore, 10th, your leader in bronze. And Millington in the pit. Bounce the limiter's done his stop, so has Tyler de Block, and everybody's still going in this race so far. And Steve could be in for a long, long pit stop there. Wolski within half a second of Flores at the moment, though. He's starting to make up a bit of time. Oh, who's that?
Matt,
that's Jamie Lee. Sorry, Langley. Jamie Lee's just had an off. He's just rejoined. So Wolski, another position.
Reeves is off. At the corkscrew again.
Oh, and he gets it back going before he gets hit. So Hunt,
no damage,
on
though.
for a double podium. So is this track temperature just playing people want to drive?
I was about to say, Matt, it is complete opposite weather this week, but it's just about as slippy as it was last week.
And I was chatting with Tan and Ebone prior to the stream tonight, and he was saying that the problem with Laguna is it is a slippery circuit, and the practice session was green on the server reset. So, you know, you've got to get it right. You've got to make sure you bang on with them tyre pressures and with looking after them. And this is where drivers have got to take tyres in this race. As Johnson now moves up to 4th. He's still got Tanner there. Gabino on Richie at the moment. And with Jamie Lee now in the pits, Wolski up to 17th. We said he goes about his business quietly. In fact, he's up 16th because he's already passed Flores as they've crossed the line. And he's not up far off the back of Broom, Stapley and Williams. 3 Aston Martins going at it at the moment for 13th, 14th and 15th.
Well, let's point out 4th and 5th started 13th and 11th respectively, but they've kept the car on track, so they're up the order.
Who else was down? Gabino had a decent qualifying. Argent was in the teens a little bit, so he's moved forward a bit more. He's off the back of Greaves. Cherry Moore gaining on him, though. Back to this Aston Martin fight. Stapley looks for a run on Paul Williams.
Gabino's made the move on Richie.
Oh, has he got it done? Oh, nice. Yeah,
yes, he has. And around the outside of the corkscrew, I think Richie kind of let him go, which is very smart driving, because if you, like I said, if you're not compliant or you don't have a compliant opponent at the corkscrew, it can go very bad, and we've already seen that tonight.
Yeah. Paul Williams has got some damage to his car as well. So that might be why he's not running as quick as he normally is. But hey, 22nd or 23rd up to 13th. It's been a good start.
Tell you what, Peckman's not losing as many points anymore, is he?
No, all of a sudden it's turned on its head, hasn't it? And that's going to be the interesting thing to keep our eyes on. Look at Wolski in the background of these 3. He could all of a sudden be up to 13th within a couple of laps. Jamie Lee has done his pit stop. He's on his way out now, but is now 2 laps down on the leaders as Stapley looks to the outside line in towards turn number 1, tucks back to the inside line and thinks better of that one, breaks nice and early. And Wolski within 1.7, so he's got the pace tonight to charge up this field. And here comes Stapley
Williams was wide there.
To the outside of turn number 2 in towards turn 3. And Williams holds on to that once again. So Williams driving really well at the moment. And Stapley wants to get on with this because he's got his bronze rival of Neil Broom right behind him.
I'll tell you what, this racecraft that we've seen out of Peckman these last 2 rounds or weekends has been absolutely incredible. Let's remind everyone that he started 4th in this bronze class, and all of a sudden he's already up to 2nd, and he's got a clean car, the most important part of that.
Wolski's just got past Neil Broom. Broom didn't fight that one too hard. He's got damage on the front end, so that might be why he's not fighting it too hard at the moment. He knows he's going to be in for a pit stop to repair damage. The 207 of Taylor is off again, coming down towards the final corner. But Wolski moving forward now. He's up into to 15th place. He's got 14th and 13th right in front of him. And there's not really many big gaps, so Wolski's not got a lot to close down. If you look at Paul Williams, it's only 9 seconds to Peckman. And if Wolski can clear these pretty quickly, he's still got 45 minutes to still work his way through this field.
Yeah, you're right. The gaps, the biggest gaps on track are actually out front and 12th and 13th. Those are the only two really massive gaps right now out on the track.
Stapley very wide. Wolski has a look up the inside. Tries to get the run out the corner. Stapley on the inside line, though, for turn number 3. Wolski right around the outside. Does he have the move done? Just on the dirt a little bit. Loses the rear. Stapley avoids him well. Stapley still there for turn 4. And Wolski now around the outside. Dips a wheel on the dirt. Shouldn't hurt him too bad because it'll give him the inside line in towards turn 5. And Wolski is through. Neil Broom trying to follow him as well through turn 5. Gets the nose up the inside, does Neil Broom. Stapley now kicks up the gravel. Hardest corner on the circuit. This is the left-hander, the blind entry. Watch out for the sausage curb. And Broom lets Stapley go.
Fair driving. Very good driving from all three of them there for no contact really at all. So very clean, very nice driving there from all three of them.
Really is indeed. It's a good job from them. Sam Greaves is gaining on the back of Mirko Ritchie and has dropped Kieran Argent a little bit. Now Paul Williams is coming under pressure from Wolski in this race. So Wolski looking to just charge forward a little bit more here and to put himself up to 13th, 11.2 off the back of Peckman as he looks for a late lunge up the inside. Neil Broom into the pits. Now Langley, for these early pit runners in this race, they surely got to be taking tyres just to make sure their tyres last that bit longer, because by the end of this race, if they don't change, they're going to be screaming at them. Wolski's through.
Yeah, Wolski's through, and now he's got to make up the biggest gap on the track, but after that it gets a bit easier after that. But yeah, as you said, these I think the likes of Neil Broom is pitting right now because the damage he had on his car. He seems to have decent pace, was fighting with these guys, the likes of Wolski, Williams, Stapley, Flores back here, but it's hard to make moves, especially with that decrease in straight line speed. You can see how it's affecting Paul Williams' car. A little bit of damage on the front there with the hood raised up just a slight bit. And Stapley's been putting him under pressure. Clean car, and as I say that, Paul Williams goes deep, opens the door for Stapley into the corkscrew, and he's through.
Yeah, Flores tried to follow him, but that was quickly closed, and Paul Williams only loses the 1 place here. Then Wolski's already got the gap down to 1.4 seconds, and you're right. The damage on Paul Williams' bonnet is pretty substantial. You can see the gap between the bonnet and the grille, just showing how much damage he's got on the front end of that car. As we'll see if Paul Williams decides to dive into the pit. So no, it stays key out once more. And what will the gap be for Wolski now to Peckman? Peckman's running on his own at the moment. 3.2 off the back of Stardog. And the blocks there as well, who's a lap down. So 11.9. We'll keep our eyes on this gap as it goes along. As Flores now to the outside of Paul Williams. A one clean Aston Martin around the outside of the broken bonneted Aston Martin of Paul Williams. And can Flores hold it there for turn number 3? He's alongside. That's Taylor who's slow to let the leaders through. And Diego Flores moves up yet another place.
I think Paul Williams might want to do what Neil Broom did and duck into the pits, get that damage repaired, and I mean it's only a 40-20 split now, so it's not too bad. If he were to come into the pits right now, you want to make it as close to 30-30 as possible with the temperatures the way they are, but. Yeah, it shouldn't be too bad if he comes in now, gets that damage repaired.
Well, I can tell you that for a pit stop here with no tyres will cost you 51 seconds. That is for in, park up, refuel and out. For a tyre swap, it's only 56. It's one of the shorter ones on the calendar for stationary time. So 56 seconds. So it's not a bad stop to lose. But obviously Paul Williams will have the damage time on top of that as well. Great racing so far. A little bit quiet now at the moment. Greaves has lost time to Ritchie and has been caught by Argent here, though. Wolski's got the gap down to 10.9. So he's starting to make a charge here. Millington 6 seconds off the back of Jamie Lee also.
Yeah, I want to keep an eye on this fight between Sam Greaves and Kieran Argent. They spent some time between race 1 and qualifying to make friends with each other. So, yeah,
Just getting,
Matt's dying. Matt's dying on the camera right now.
You're just getting that one off your chest, I assume, yeah?
Yeah. They spent some time making good friends with each other in the break. Yeah, something happened that we didn't pick up on stream in race 1, and let's just say one was less enthused than the other, and made it apparent in some of the chats.
Gabino has gained on Tan and Ebo, and that gap's now 0.7 of a second. We'll see what it is as they cross the line here.
Tanner's tires
are...
I'm not sure what's happened, because he was following. It's either that or Michael Johnson's pace is just
the BMW M4 on this game does tend to go through a bit of a funny phase 20 minutes in. So maybe the M4 is just hitting that little bit of a phase, because look, Argent's still with Sam, but Cherry Moore's on the back of Argent, so maybe that BMW has just hit its little phase of a little.
Remember, Kneebone was following Johnson through, and now he's 10 seconds behind. So yeah, you're probably right.
Look, Johnson's on the back of Hunt. Sam's pulled a gap of 5 seconds over Gary Leach. Richie's pulled away from Sam, and Cherry Moore's closed in on Argent here then. And Wolski can't seem to get that gap down to Peckman. It's 10.2. So just seems like at the moment, as Privet's in the pits, that these BMWs just going through that little phase of the race where they're just not able to be at peak performance. And this is the problem with the M4. You have to get through this little window after about 15-20 minutes where the M4 just seems to just lack a little bit in whatever. And yeah, it just drops a bit in performance. It comes back. It's as if it's like something happens to the tyres on the M4 partway through the race. So we'll see what happens, but it does go through a little window of having a moment. So let's see. Cherry Moore must have made a mistake. And that's Tyler DeBlock, sorry, on the back of him, not Keenan Starlog. Wolski's got the gap down now to 9.5. So maybe it's had its moment, and we'll see. I don't think Gary's BMW is the moment. I think that is just Sam's pace over Gary at the minute to pull that gap.
Oh, Michael Johnson's closed down Hunt here pretty rapidly. And wonder if something happened. Kneebone's only 8 seconds behind Johnson now. He was 10 seconds if I was wrong.
Well, these have just flapped in the 26s. And Tanner did a 25.1. He was 9/10 quicker than Johnson. He was 1.5 quicker than Hunt. So maybe these two had a bit of an off somewhere.
Yeah, because the gap between them two hasn't changed.
Oh,
maybe it was the lap card.
Change for the lead in bronze. Something has happened to Cherry Moore, because he's lost out to Stardog and he's lost out to Peckman now. And in fact, Mirko Ritchie's lost out to Greaves and Argent. So something's happened there. And Gabino's lost out to Greaves and Argent. So what has happened? There's definite contact on the side of Gabino's car. You can see the damage. So what has happened there? And was Cherry Moore caught up in it? Another incident where Cherry Moore may have been caught out in.
Yeah, and Peckman now leading again. And that it's just incredible to say. We'll see if he can keep it going. Definitely not the qualifier you'd think he is. But like I said, this racecraft so far has him back in the lead now.
It does indeed. We're back with Hunt and Johnson. Argent still within 8/10 of Sam Greaves. Gabino 4/10 off the back of Mirko Ritchie. Stapley into the pits. Bettison has done his pit stop as well. And Jamie Lee and Millington will be getting closer to him. That is Sam Williams about to put a lap on Steve Millington, which will put him another lap.
Oh, Johnson's got by Hunt.
He has, yeah, so missed that one. So Johnson's now
looked away for 2 seconds.
Gabino side by side with Mirko. Mirko's got some heavy front end damage. Gabino damage on the left hand side. So did Gabino already pass Ritchie, and Ritchie make contact with him somewhere? But Gabino looking all over the back. Keenan Stardog running P10 at the moment. And Wolski's got the gap down to 6.3 seconds now to Cherry Moore. Here goes Gabino and Mirko Ritchie up towards the corkscrew. And Gabino's got it done before the braking zone. Great run out of the left-hander. And Stardog now on the back of Mirko Ritchie straight away.
Yeah, Hunt just ran a little wide. That's all that happened, and left the door open for Johnson, who's now in the podium places in this race. Coming back to him, the pace is coming back to him, Johnson, after probably not having the qualifying that he would have liked.
Yeah.
Was very, very quick in practice, and that pace seems now to be coming back to him.
It does indeed. So from 17th down have all pitted. Privet is 2 laps down to the leader. So from Privet down are all 2 laps down. In fact, let me load up the timing tower on my PC. So Mick Taylor's on for lap 13. Bounce the Limiter, Millington, Lee, Bettison, Broom and Privet are all on lap 16. Although Privet may have just started lap 16. De Block up towards Flores are on lap 16. And then Wolski up to the leader are all on lap 17. Williams into the pit. So he's gone as close to that half-hour mark as he can to try and repair that damage. Hunt's still on the back of Johnson, though. And we've also got Stardog on the back of Mirko Ricci. But let's keep our eyes on Hunt and Johnson. Johnson 12 seconds behind Gary. That is now the biggest gap on circuit. Bar Mark Tucker to Paul Williams. So let's see what will happen here. Stapler on the back of De Block for 17th and 18th place. And that could possibly be for a net 3rd place in bronze for Stapler, because Tucker yet to pit. Stardog getting closer to Mirko Ricci. Ricci just struggling. It wouldn't surprise me if Ricci pits this lap.
I think one thing to point out as well, you remember that gap that was 12 seconds, and yeah, you're right, Ricci does pit. That gap that was 12 seconds is now 4 seconds. Wolski's having a flyer out there.
He is charging on the back of Cherry Moore, and then it's only 2 to Peckman, and only another further 3 seconds back to Stardog. So don't count Wolski out of this race in this one, and with Mirko having to repair damage here, if Wolski's car's okay after the dramas he had early on, he might be able to continue in this race. Hunt still close to the back of Williams at the moment, to Johnson, sorry, at the moment. Argent within half a second now of Greaves. He's got a very fast Tyler De Block, who just goes on the gravel to try and unlap himself. And the 75 of Bettison, I believe, is just retired from this race. I did see him yellow flag and then off. So that may be a retirement for Richard Bettison there.
I think the M4 is coming back. As you said, it's gone through its window. Hunt is sticking to the back of Johnson here. He lost the spot, but he is proving that he still has similar pace to him. So it's coming back to him here. And all the other BMWs, Greaves seems to be closing down Kneebone with Argent right behind him. Kieran, to put it frankly, a terrible race 1, but it has come into his own in the second race here.
I don't think Kieran had a bad race 1. I thought he was 6th. He was, yeah. Kieran
was 6th.
He had an off. No, Kieran was 6th in race 1. You're thinking
it was the other forever backward car.
Forever backwards racing car of Tanner Nebo, who had the stop-go penalty. But you're right. I've just looked at the lap times last time around. Gary matched Sam Greaves. Maybe not the last lap they've just done, but the lap before, because Gary lost a second to Sam on the last lap. But yeah, the BMW is definitely coming back to their own. Cherry Moore now into the pits. Mirko Ricci is your net pit leader, but we know he's nowhere near, and he didn't repair the damage, I'm noticing. So interesting choice from Mirko Ricci there.
Yeah, well, maybe it was just too much for him to deem it worth it. Sam's catching some lap traffic here. Probably is not a fan of it. I think that's Jamie Lee, and yeah, I think he definitely got held up a little bit there. So we'll see the gap, what the gap is at the line to Gary Leach now.
Well, Sam has pulled away from Argent. Argent coming under pressure from De Block. Argent might want to think of letting De Block go here. De Block's the quicker car.
He's lost a couple seconds there.
Yeah, De Block's the quicker car.
Lost.
Argent doesn't need to fight De Block. De Block has done his pit stop as well as Taylor gets lapped once more. Cherry Moore still in the pit lane, and De Block's the next car to pass him, but I think Cherry Moore may be off his limiter. He is way before De Block comes into the final corner. Millington's gaining on the back of Jamie Lee then, as they've just been lapped by Sam Williams and are still 2 laps down. The best Steve can hope for in this race is potentially 16th place in this one, but we'll see what happens as this race continues to go on. So Steve gaining on the back of Jamie Lee, and that is for 21st and 22nd, and Steve just hasn't had the night. The disconnection in race 1 due to an overheating Xbox, and then the off he had into the corkscrew in this first race. Just not the night for Steve tonight.
No, it's not, and that's kind of how this championship's gone, hasn't it?
Yeah.
A new leader each week, it seems like.
And looking at the championship standings, you know, Gary will probably take the lead off of Steve here, depending on what the final result is. Hunter's got back ahead of Johnson by 1.7 seconds. So what has happened to Johnson there then? Doesn't look like he's got damage, so maybe just an off himself. So interesting to see that one. Johnson's lost out. Langley's going to have a look at that one for us. Back to Jamie Lee and Millington, who's close. Gary looks like he's probably going to take the championship lead. Wolski will get a bit closer because he's ahead of Steve. Mirko as well made closing. Sam Williams and Johnson are going to be the two biggest gainers, I think, with the first and third at the moment. And Sam Williams, you know, fastest lap yet again he's got to his name. Argent back. Oh, Jamie Lee, big moment out the corner. And that is Steve Millington side by side, not through just yet. And has Steve now got the job done? Dips a wheel onto the gravel. This will be an interesting one. See if Steve's still got that inside line in towards turn 5. There you go. No backs out of that one there. Closer because he's ahead of Steve. Quick look at what happened to Steve Millington. Mirko was just a moment to go. Sam Williams and Johnson are going to be the two biggest gainers. Coming down in towards turn 1 now. This is Steve Millington and Sam Williams. Just now going to try to have the look on Jamie Lee, who has a moment here. Oh, Jamie Lee, big moment out the corner. On the and that is Steve Millington side by side, not through just yet. Lee's moment. And has Steve now got the job done? Dips a wheel onto the gravel and stays side by side with Steve. And Steve just dips a bit of contact as well. I missed that one. The contact put Steve on the gravel, and through went Jamie Lee back in front of Steve Millington. Argent back within 8/10 of Sam Greaves now at the moment. Yeah, he is. So there is Argent just trying to keep up with Sam a little bit now and has still got De Block behind him. So he doesn't want to let De Block go yet.
Yeah, Johnson was just wide at the kink before the corkscrew. That's what let Hunt get back through. So they're swapping off tracks at the moment for the last podium spot. And yeah, this fight for 5th is going to get spicy pretty soon. Sam's only about a 1.5 seconds behind Nebo, and Argent following him behind Garbino, who's actually going into the pit lane right now, not too far behind those three. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
Well, Paul Williams didn't get jumped by Neil Broom. They're resuming their fight on the circuit at the moment, and Millington just taps the rear of Jamie Lee, and round goes Jamie onto the dirt. And Steve Millington, I have to say, day late, dollar short, it looked like to me there. We'll see if a ticket goes in on that one. Back to Broom and Williams, who are going to duke it out once more. Tanner, Gabino and Stardog into the pits.
He's about to get lapped by his teammate again, is Steve Millington. Gary's right behind him, and I know Gary hasn't pitted yet, but it has just not been the night for Steve, unfortunately, after a brilliant win last weekend. He'll have to get his head straight. I'm sure he'll come back stronger next week.
Indeed he will, as Neil Broom got up the inside of Paul Williams. Good move done. Paul Williams did not repair the damage on that Aston Martin, surprisingly. So Neil Broom up into P at 19. He's going to try and chase down Stapley for yet another bronze podium. And Tanner Nebo, your net pit leader. Where is Mirko Ritchie? Nowhere in sight, and Mirko has been jumped big time by Gabino. Mirko also didn't repair damage, but Mirko has pulled a bigger gap over Keenan Starlog. Hunt and Johnson into the pits, as is Kieran Argent, looking for that undercut now then. And can Paul Williams come back on Neil Broom? He's having a look to the outside. Blue flag's waving, and that's because Flores is about to put a lap on these two, but Flores yet to pit. Now might be the time for Diego Flores to box. And we'll see if he does to get out the way or clear this traffic. No, he doesn't. Stays on circuit at the moment.
Hunt Johnson and Kieran Argent all in the pits right now, presumably taking fresh tires. We'll see the order they come out the pits. Reminder that Johnson and Hunt were right next to each other. So Hunt goes green first, and Johnson just now goes green, pulls out of his pit box, will stay behind Hunt. It's a bit of a gap there. It doesn't look like a big gap in the pit lane, but getting back on the throttle, that's going to be about a 3 or 4 second gap. So lost a little time in the pit lane, did Johnson there.
Well, here comes Kieran Argent out the pits. Tanner Nebo goes past, so Nebo doesn't jump. Argent doesn't jump his teammate, and Gary Leach into the pits. Cherry Moore jumped Peckman by 6 seconds in the pits. Now, did Cherry Moore take tyres, or did Peckman have damage, I wonder? Because that's a big gap for Cherry Moore to have jumped over Peckman. And Cherry Moore's about to try and pass Johnson for the lead in the bronze category. Sorry, past Tucker for the lead in the bronze category. Reminded, though, that Tucker hasn't yet done his pit stop. And yeah, pretty good race at the moment, just quietening down so far. And that gives us a chance to remind you that tomorrow night, 8 p.m. GMT for UK time, GMT. It's not +1 yet because our clocks haven't gone forward. For the Pro Series, so make sure you're there for all the action in the Pro category. Should be a cracking night's worth of action at Laguna Seca once again in the Pro Series, so make sure you join us live for that. And then Who Darren Cup with Tinnis will be back in your boxes. Tucker's just going to let Cherry Moore go here. Probably sensible from him, seeing as he knows he hasn't stopped. Tinnis will be back in your box on Tuesday night for the Who Darren Cup at Snetterton, back on British soil. So we'll see what happens there. The weather, I have had a look today. The weather looks a little tasty again for next week. So the rain gods are back for Snetterton. Not the easiest British circuit to do in the wet. And then we head in 2 weeks' time back to Langley, our next 90-minute race in what I think has been the best race of the season back in Kyalami.
Yeah, Indianapolis 90-minute race. You will not want to miss that one, and plenty of overtaking opportunities around that track. Some hard braking zones and corners that promote side-to-side racing. Absolutely love it around Indianapolis. Probably my favorite venue in motorsport.
Just noting, De Block's catching... In fact, De Block has passed Peckman now. Peckman's got a lot of damage on the front of that McLaren. So maybe that's why Cherry Moore was so far ahead. He's got damage to his car. Sam Williams is in the pits. Where's Gary Leach? Sam's just coming off the limit, and now Gary's nowhere near the final corner. So Sam looks like he's having that race too. Touch wood for him, that he's been craving all since Donington last season. And Wolski into the pits. This would be interesting to see where Wolski comes out. He was about 13th or 12th before the pit stop started happening. So where will Wolski appear from the pit lane?
Okay, I usually don't give away fuel loads. But the last time Sam was leading a race by this margin, he has 15 liters extra than Gary Leach at the moment. Does not want a repeat of what happened at the Hungaroring, so he's put excess in that car just to make sure.
Oh, yeah, poor Sam. Either that or Gary's gone very, very fine on his fuel.
That could be a case as well. And then we got another joke circulating after that.
Kieran Argent just sliding out of turn number 3. Got Gabino back over a second now, so he's pulled 4/10 over Gabino. Tucker in the pits. Limiter might be able to get a position on Tucker here. Tucker's just come off the limiter as Limiter is about to cross the line, so they'll be fighting for 22nd and 23rd. Sam's got this one under control, surely. 8 seconds clear. Oh, no. Gary's 8 seconds. He's 12 seconds clear of Gary, so yeah, cruising at the moment. Sam Greaves yet to pit, so is Diego Flores. They're running first and third. The only drivers left to pit in this race. Peckman still gaining on the back of De Block here. So we'll see what will happen
on track
for De Block. And this is for position. De Block, who is that just ahead of De Block? That is Sam Greaves, your race leader. So De Block may have fresher tyres than Sam Greaves. Though he pitted early on, so maybe not much more fresher tyres, but yeah, we'll see what De Block can do. De Block's done well, though. He was down the order after his own moment when he got passed by Gary. That he's done well to bounce back to 14th. Yeah, 2 moments, yeah.
Yeah, so he absolutely junked the car on the first one and then spun again going down the hill on the S's. So, yeah, he's done a good job to get back to where he is now.
Greaves is in.
He's had the pace tonight to really. He should have been on the podium. But,
yeah.
Just not to be.
No, and that's sometimes the way the cookie crumbles, isn't it? You know, we've said this with Sam a lot over the years, that Sam Williams has, maybe should have won a few more races than what he has done, especially in race 2, but just hasn't had that rub of the green that he maybe would have wanted. Kieran 3.2 off the back of his teammate. He's pulled well clear of Gabino now. Flores stays out on track, so Williams retakes the lead of this race. Flores moves up into second, and Gary Leach is back up into third as he's passed Sam Greaves, who's yet to get going. Sam was ahead of Argent, wasn't he? Just ahead of Argent.
He was around Kneebone, just behind Kneebone, but ahead of Argent. and that gap's closed. So it'll be interesting to see where they come out now. It's
the 180.
looking like
Paul Williams back into the pits. He's had an off.
Yep.
Greaves has just come off the limiter. There he is. Tanner Kneebone will get ahead.
I think it might be the same.
Of Sam Greaves, and has Greaves come out in the same position? Argent's a lot further back. Oh, Greaves might be a little bit closer to Tanner here. Yeah, right under the rear wing of Tanner Kneebone now. So Greaves a little bit closer to Tanner.
A little bit closer, and Kieran's a little bit closer to the pair of them as well. So we'll keep an eye on that fight. Flores, the last car to make a pit stop in this one. It's been on those tires for 40 minutes. That has been quite a while to take these tires around here.
Yeah, what fuel load does he have left in the tank? Still got some 24 litres. So he's still got a while till he needs to pit, really, just Diego Flores. He's in the pits
I'm being
now.
honest. So. Oh, never mind. I was going to say, if I'm being honest, you've taken him this long, might as well just do a splash and dash at the end.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to take tyres. He surely can't be taking tyres for 20 minutes, but hey, we'll wait and see. Where did Wolski come out? Wolski's 11th, 4 seconds off the back of Mirko. So Wolski close here. Sam Greaves and Hunt have had a really good night tonight. They've had some really good racing and been in the thick of the action tonight. Yeah,
and Wolski's put himself, maybe, we'll see where Flores comes out. I think he's put himself back into the top 10 here. Yes he has, because Flores has not gone green yet, and he is now flying by on the main straight. So yeah, Wolski's got him back up into the top 10 after the dreadful opening laps that he had as well.
Yeah, so good showing there from Wolski. And yeah, not too bad. De Block's been passed by Peckman again. And where is De Block? Oh, that is Tucker who has gone off.
Something's happened.
And yeah, De Block.
Something's happened between De Block and Peckman, because Peckman's on the main straight. De Block is just now going through the final corner. So something's happened there. Not sure what, though.
Oh, Tanner a little wiggly out the left-hander. Greaves within that 7/10, and Argent's within about, in fact no, he's within half a second. Look, and Argent's a second off the back of Sam Greaves now, so Argent getting closer to the pair of these two. They've got 9 seconds to make up on Johnson. Johnson still hasn't got closer to Hunt. Driver of the day poll is out. Hunt.
Oh, Garbino's got by Argent.
So
he's had a moment in the corkscrew.
Yeah. So Argent must have just made a mistake there and has lost out on P7.
Garbino's been had a solid performance at Watkins Glen last week, and another top 10 right now for him. So very, very good over these past couple weekends for Garbino.
Yeah, it is indeed. Hunt looks like he's got Johnson covered, 4.9 seconds. Greaves still on the back of Tanner. Argent now on the back of Garbino. So interesting to see. Williams still in the pits. Hopefully he can get back out in this race. It's been some good racing once again tonight here at here at Laguna Seca. And yeah, Snetterton should provide even more drama. Tanner looks like he's opened that gap up more than 4/10. And Argent side by side with Garbino in towards turn 5. Kieran Argent up the inside. Garbino still there. Who's the braver through this left-hander, though? Blind entry into this corner with that dangerous sausage curb on the inside. Argent goes steady. Garbino around the outside and makes it stick. Garbino holds on to that one. Absolutely beautiful from the Lamborghini driver.
That was amazing to hold it round the outside there. Give the space. That was great. That was some great driving there, right round the outside.
And Argent side by side with Garbino. Replay in towards turn 5. Kieran Argent up the inside. Garbino still there. Who's the braver through this left-hander, though? Blind entry into this corner with that dangerous sausage curb on the inside. Argent goes steady. Garbino around the outside and makes it stick to this left-hander, and it's always the driver on the inside that seems to be a little bit more tentative, and Garbino right around the outside. Good little move that from the Lamborghini. Cherry Moore has lost out to Stapley. Stapley leads in Brond. So where has that come from? Because before the pits, Cherry Moore's got damage and then let Sam Williams go.
Oh boy, I'm gonna go figure out what happened there. But yeah, like as you were saying there, the driver on the inside is always the most tentative. because of that sausage
Yeah.
curb. It will. If you hit that sausage curb, both cars going through that corner will come off worse. 10 out of 10 times.
They will indeed. And Hunt still Greaves still looking to get close to Tanner. Hunt has pulled away from Johnson, and Argent still trying to get closer to Gabino. And he'll want to get back past. He'll want that 6th and 7th for his championship. Good set of results for Kieran Argent tonight. Here's Greaves dipping down through the corkscrew. Still sticking to the back of Tanner. This is one of Greaves and Hunt's strongest seasons I've seen for a while. Since you was racing them in Pro-Am 2 or 3 seasons ago.
They like these front engine cars. It is a characteristic that I've noticed with them, because they tried the Porsche and that worked out terribly, absolutely terrible for the pair of them. And it's the thing is, the Porsche just is not for everyone. That's the thing. So they're back in their groove this season in the BMW, so it's good to see them back up toward the front of the field. Oh. And 4Q actually won the constructors season. I won the drivers championship in Pro-Am, so it's good to have them back up there, and hopefully they can close the gap up front, because it's quite a big gap right now.
There's been a few changes. De Block and Broom have both got ahead of Peckman now. So Broom's now back onto the podium in bronze, looking for another podium in the bronze category. So Cherry Moore has got 2 cars between himself and his closest championship rival. If he can gain 2.5 seconds to get back on the rear of Stapley, that could help Cherry Moore out even more in this championship. Yellow flag for Taylor off at the corkscrew as Greaves and Kneebone come through. Argent's dropped out that second zone to Gabino now, and Sam Williams has just had this under control. Still 13 minutes left to go in this race.
I didn't see anything obvious, and there seems to be a big off at the corkscrew. The 207. Taylor. Who is that? Mick Taylor. I didn't see anything obvious with Cherry Moore, so I wonder if it's just his pace dropping off. Yeah,
possibly. He's got a bit of front end damage. Not sure where he's picked that up. He's got a lot of damage. Why has he dropped back even further? No, Privet's still way behind him, but that car looks like it's got more damage on the front. That bonnet looks a bit more sort of pushed in on the front of the car. So he's struggling. What a shame, because, well, I say it's a shame. He's got such a gap over Cherry Moore at the moment. This is just going to bring it back closer in the championship.
Yeah, he's not losing too many points either, because the points gaps get smaller and smaller the further you go down the field. So he's not losing a ton of points to Cherry Moore at the moment.
No, he's not. And speaking of points, Wolski gaining on the back of Mirko Ricci in this one at the moment. So Mirko coming under pressure from Wolski. Wolski's got 6 seconds to gain to Argent in 12 minutes if he can get past Ricci pretty quickly. Ricci struggled tonight, not seeing the best of Ricci for a couple of weeks now as well. See if Snetterton will change that fortune for the Lamborghini driver. And there's still no votes in the chat, by the way, for a driver of the day at the moment. So, I mean, no audience driver of the day today.
It's hard to say. I mean, this will be Sam's first win this season. Knock on wood, may I reiterate, because it seems every time we say his name, something happens. So,
and there's still 11 minutes to go.
Yeah, exactly. So there's 11 minutes for something to happen, is the way I'm looking at it right now. Wolski's had a great drive to get back up into this top 10. I'm
going to be honest. I'm looking at Hunt. Race win, P3. You know, we normally see him have one of two good races. Never normally sort of like back-to-back good races. I know it will be Sam's first race win of the season, but we kind of expect Sam to be that front runner. Do you know what I mean? And that's kind of where I'm looking at Hunt, who's never normally on that in that podium discussion. Normally, you're looking at Greaves out of the 4Q boys to be on the podium. Hunt has had a phenomenal night tonight.
Yes, he has, and honestly, even Sam, when he does, he usually Sam Williams usually doesn't have 3 good sessions in a row. He might be the fastest in quali, and then it goes to shambles in race 2 or a win race 1 and then not get race 2 together. So the fact that he's, as of right now, knock on wood, putting together a full 3 good sessions, P2 in race 1, pole by 3/10 in quali, and 16 seconds out in front of the rest of the field.
Yeah.
It's finally good to see him put it together. Knock on wood. Yes, I'm going to reiterate that, because if you've followed along here at SimPlay, watching Pro-Am week in and week out, you'll know what we're talking about with the incidents and how unlucky Sam's been at some times. It is just proving to be a very difficult circuit to overtake, and it's probably going to... unfortunately, it's probably going to be even harder to overtake here tomorrow night for the pro boys, because it's even hotter, and I think these temperatures are playing a big factor in that.
Speaking of overtaking, Wolski's just got the move done but went too deep on the exit, so Richie's come back at him. So Wolski had got ahead, Richie's just come back at him. Tanner Kneebone has got Greaves right there, so Tanner's just struggled a little bit. Greaves has just come back onto the rear of him. Argent has lost out massively to Gabino, so whatever has happened to Argent, it has just gone wrong for him. But Wolski, I tell you what, Wolski for a top 10 is brilliant. If he can get that 9th place, be tricky to catch Argent now, 7 seconds in 9 minutes. But hey, Wolski looks quick out there today. Wolski looks really quick.
If he didn't get plowed through, was that first lap or was that second lap? That was second lap.
Believe, yeah.
So it might not. Johnson might be on for a podium post Stewart's, possibly. It depends on what happens with that incident. But yeah, Wolski basically got plowed through, to say the least, at the first corner. Now the second one was
Greaves
more
has passed
his
Nebo.
fault.
Sorry, Langley, just noticed that Greaves has passed Tanner as it is changed on the timing screens. So something has happened to Tanner there, and Greaves now moves up to 5th. What a night for 4Q tonight in this Constructors' Championship.
Yeah, 3rd and 5th. And where did Greaves finish in race 1?
8th.
So 1st and 8th, 3rd and 5th, going to be a big night, especially a night where Steve Millington has not been at his best for SimPlay Racing. That gap between 4Q and SimPlay is going to close a bit. So, yeah, it makes things spicy, because that gap in the Constructors' Championship is quite massive right now.
So 4Q Motorsport scored 143 points in race 1. SimPlay Racing 67. 4Q also outscored Greasy Bandits by 20. So yes, the championship lead is some 212.5 points SimPlay to 4Q. But you think after this race it's going to be even less. Unless Tanner can get back ahead of Sam Greaves. It will still be a lot less because Steve's down in 19th place. Although Steve is gaining on Privet here. So could Steve maybe try and make another move? Wolski's lost... In fact,
battle.
Yeah, Wolski's lost out from Richie. 2.3 seconds. Not sure what's happened there. We've got Jamie Lee, who's been overtaken by Bouncer Limiters. Limiters got that one done. Johnson's just dipped a wheel on the grass ahead of these two as well. So Johnson's struggling out there. But Millington gaining on Privet. Team GBR versus SimPlay Racing. Privet's got a bit of damage on the front end of his BMW as well. So that'll just be costing him a little bit of time.
Steve up the inside. Into the kink. Steve does have a nose ahead, and Privet smartly backs out of it.
What's happened here? Greaves has lost back out to Tanner, and Gabino's on the back of the pair of them. Gabino's put down the hammer here.
Yeah, he has. He these last few laps has been really good for him. These BMWs, I think, are going through that phase again, Matt. Especially if they took tires. They're at that point where, they're at that point where they're going through this phase again, where they just lose a little pace, and especially if they're squabbling with each other, could have a great fight here toward the end of the race for 5th here.
Really
it has been proven tonight that is just really difficult to overtake around here, but I think we've also been spoiled this season with some absolute cracking non-stop action races, whether that be Houdarin Cup or like last week in Watkins Glen, and we've had our fair share, a fair amount of wet races, as you say.
The drivers are probably doing a dry dance, not a rain dance, for this week, because I bet they're fed up of the rain, especially Pro-Am after Watkins Glen last week. That was nearly flooded. Greaves on the back of Tanner now, then coming up towards the kink. And Gabino right there. And like you say, is this BMW going through its face? Because Argent is 6.3 off the back. Is this going to allow Gabino a look up the inside of Greaves?
Oh boy.
He's going side by side into the corkscrew. Here comes Gabino on the inside line. Greaves turns in, leaves the room, has to cut the second part of the corkscrew. Here comes Gabino now, though, to the outside line and cannot get it done. Sam Greaves lives to fight another day. And somehow they're still on the back of Tanner because Tanner's struggling through the corners.
Tanner's struggling through the corners. Ooh, that's a bit late right there. Have to defend earlier than that, and he goes very deep. Does Sam Greaves trying to defend, and he pushes Kneebone off the track with it. Gabino does the up and under on them. Way too aggressive from Sam Greaves there. If you're gonna lose something, you don't want to lose two, and that's exactly what he's done.
I think he looked to defend from Gabino and realised that Tanner had left the door wide open, but left it just that little bit too late, did Sam Greaves. I really think he'd gone to defend.
I don't think the door was there.
Unless Tanner's just, turned out of it, seeing Greaves send one, but it looked like the door was open.
Probably.
And that Greaves had turned a defence into an attack, but then ended up letting Gabino gain 2 places. Kieran 4.9 behind. We're watching Wolski on the back of Mirko Ricci at the moment. As in the chat, we're seeing Paul Williams saying, no flashy, Hunt gets my vote. Hunt is leading the vote for driver of the day. 4 votes have come in on the YouTube stream at the moment. And yeah, fair play. I see why people have voted for him, as Greaves looking on the back of Tanner Kneebone once again in towards the corkscrew. There you go. And they all managed to get it stopped. Gabino just up the road from Tanner. Tanner's really struggling here. He's just got nothing at the moment.
Yeah, I think it was a bit of 50-50. The door was open, but Greaves broke way too late trying to defend, and then basically had to probably lift off the brakes.
Oh no, Jamie Lee! Sorry,
Kneebone.
Langley. Jamie Lee has just held Gabino through the final corner, chopped the nose off as he ran wide.
Kneebone went deep.
That's allowed that's allowed Greaves to get alongside Kneebone, and they're still on Gabino. And Greaves up the inside. He's looking for both of them. Oh, and a bit of contact with Gabino. Maybe a push to pass there. Gabino's still in this. Greaves lets Gabino back through. So he's done the right thing in letting Gabino go. But that gets Tanner back ahead of both of them.
Yeah, he's done the same thing. He's broke way too late to try to attack or / defend from Kneebone. And then into the back of Gabino he goes. Needs to be mindful of his brake pedal these last couple laps.
Indeed he does. Well, we'll see what happens here. But a great little fight for P5. 2.5 minutes to go. And remember what happened in the dying moments of last week? Vasic dropped it to allow Steve Millington to take the win. Here comes Gabino attacking on Tanner Kneebone into the corkscrew. There you go. Greaves later on the brakes again. Has a little look up the inside of Gabino. Doesn't get the move done. There is a blue flag being shown. Not sure who that is for. It might be for Jamie Lee behind with Kieran Argent.
Yeah.
And Wolski has got clear of Mirko Ricci. He's got the job done before the corkscrew. So Wolski up to 9th place now. But Gabino once again. Tanner is struggling in his M4. Gabino to the outside. Oh, Greaves gives him a little kiss in the rear end. And nearly into the back of Kneebone.
Yeah, Tanner did really well there. Nothing wrong. Parked it on the apex, and it caused the 2 cars behind him to check up. So he has just a little bit of breathing space now for these last couple laps. But yeah, he is really struggling toward the end of the race here on tires. Just cannot find any grip out there.
Peckman's in the pits. So Peckman's lost out to Steve Van Privet. He's in the pit lane. So this is exactly what Cherry Moore would have wanted. Sam Williams crosses the line. There may be 1 lap left after this one that Sam is on. So these guys may have potentially this lap and another to go. Well, they will have another to go because Sam's just started it. They may have another one after that to go, depending on how quick Sam gets around to the line. Tanner's just got that bit of a gap though, like you've just said, Langley.
Yeah, we'll see how it is. These braking zones have been very sketchy. Old tires, worn tires, hot temperatures, slidey conditions, causing for some crazy action toward the end of this one.
46 seconds remaining on the clock. Gabino just drops a wheel into the gravel, allows Sam to get a little bit closer once again. This has allowed Tanner to not have too much breathing space. Tanner just struggling out there at the moment. Through the final corner they go. Now keep your eyes on Sam, who's at the corkscrew. He's got 30 seconds to get to the line. Argent is 4 seconds off the back of these three. Imagine these three come together and Argent gets a P5 here. We'll never hear the end of it, as Sam
There's
Greaves
a car
has
ahead of Kneebone. Not sure who that is.
Bounce the limiter.
It is bounce the limiter. Hopefully he gets out the way of this fight. Not doing so immediately. If I were Kneebone, I'd be absolutely flashing right now. And is held up just a little bit through that corner. Allows Garbino to close that gap. And you were right. Sam does get another lap. So it's this lap and one more lap after this for this fight.
Well done, Sam, for not being boring and letting off the throttle at the very end. But also, Sam, don't bottle it now, because you've got an 18.9 second gap as Gabino gets a heck of a run on the inside line of Tanner Kneebone. Side by side, in towards the corkscrew. Who's braver on the brakes? Kneebone is, and he stays just ahead. And these three have still got one more to go after the end of this one.
This is going to be some crazy action, fighting right to the end here. Cannot believe how much later Kneebone braked there. And he's hit the curb. He's a little wide. That's going to send Garbino to the outside. Is Greaves going to have a look up the inside, though, of Garbino? It's very tight through the final corner. Here we go. One more lap of this.
And Greaves gets alongside Gabino, gets ahead of Gabino by a full car, and now he's on the back of Tanner Kneebone. We will jump back to Sam Williams. Langley, stay on this action as Sam's approaching the final corner. What a dominant display from this man, Sam Williams. He's been dying for a good race too for absolutely ages. And it is going to be a lights to flag with fastest lap victory. Sam Williams wins at Laguna Seca. We go to Gary Leach. We will get that Kneebone fight in just a moment. Gray will keep us up to date on what is happening with Tanner and the others down the order.
Inside of Kneebone. And there's a little contact, leaves the door open for Garbino to get through as well. It was a bit of send at that left-hander. Through the little kink, Garbino backs out, tries to get a better run than Kneebone. But yes, Greaves is through on Kneebone now.
So Greaves through on Kneebone. We did just see the end of it as we went to it before Gary crossed the line. Stapley wins in bronze. Cherry Moore second. Hunt finishes the podium. Back to this fight, though, between Kneebone and Greaves. And that of Garbino in this race. I think Greaves has got this one covered now, because this is now going to turn towards that Garbino-Kneebone battle into the final corner. Is anybody thinking of being brave? Sam parks are on the apex. Garbino can't get past Tanner Kneebone. It is going to be Sam Greaves who will hang on in there for P5. Tanner Kneebone is going to take P6 and Garbino will take home 7th place. What an end to that race here at Laguna Seca.
What an end, and Wolski recovers to P9 after the incidents on the second lap of the race. Great drive from him. What happened to DeBlock? Did we lose DeBlock? Oh no, he's finished 16th.
Yeah, I didn't think we'd lost a block there. We will get the results inputted for you, and we'll get back to you with the championship standings. Millington championship leader, only 17th place in the end. Shame for him. Keenan Starlog P11, not bad for him in this one. To block back up to 16th, meh result for him. He'll be disappointed. Flores 12th, not bad for him. Paul Williams DNF in 24th place. Sturrock not here tonight. Jamie Lee down in 20th. Bounced the limiter, ended up finishing in P19. Brian Craig wasn't here with illness. Richard Betson DNF'd as well. And in that bronze category then, what a result for everybody out there in this race. But Stapley takes that bronze race win. Peckman down in 22nd, while Cherry Moore 14th. That is nearly 20 points difference in the championship. Now, all right, doesn't sound an awful lot, but when you think of that 20 points now, that has closed the gap to 40 odd points. Bearing in mind, I do have to do the fastest laps when the results are uploaded to SimGrid before we publish them. That is so we can see, so otherwise me going through so much information on here. Privet P18, not a bad night for Privet. Set of a pair of 18th places for him. And yeah, what a night worth of racing. We'll get your interviews in just a moment. Langley, though, final thoughts from you and your two driver of the day.
Ooh, I mean, it's been a while. I can't really do co-driver of the days, can I? Because it's between Hunt and Sam Williams. Sam finally putting together a complete weekend and gets the race 2 victory. So I'll give it to him, since I know Hunt is gonna get the fans' driver of the day vote.
Yeah, he's also going to get my vote for driver of the day, because I think he's had a cracking night's worth of racing. Steve, it is actually Steve's drop score tonight, so let me recalculate these points, and I'll get the points rolled off for you now. So Steve's drop score, that'll help him out, because Steve Millington leads the way by 1.5 points from Gary Leach. 534 plays 523.5. Wolski's third on 477.5. Then it's Mirko Ricci on 474. Sam Greaves on 473. Sam Williams up to 6th on 467. Michael Johnson is 7th. Tanner Nebo 8th. Argent moves into 9th. Ahead of Keenan Stardog. Hunt up to 11th. To block 12th. Cabino 13th. Flores 14th. Paul Williams up into 15th. Jamie Lee 17th. Sturrock, Bounce the Limiter, Andrew Taylor, Brian Craig, Richard Betterson, Dronelander and Cummins. In bronze, it is a 38-point gap between Peckman and Cherry Moore. Then Broome is third. He's on 314. He is only 65 points behind Peckman, or round about 65 points behind Peckman. So Broome is bringing himself into this championship as well. Stapley is up to 4th with Tucker, Malarex, Privet, Page, Taylor, Smith, Simcoe and Best. And down the constructors, SimPlay Racing, who got outscored, by the way, in both races here by 4Q. 4Q took home 284 points in tonight's races, outscoring their next closest team of Greasy Bandits on 227. So an absolute monstrous amount of points for for 4Q. But it's SimPlay Racing who lead from Greasy Bandits. 4Q are third, with Forever Forward in 4th. Cloud9 5th from Vanguard Race Team. Richie's Course Team, Team GBR, FRL Racing Team, Team Merlot, Balkan Simmer, Black and Blue Racing, Pages Race Team, Billy No Mates, Mustang Alley Racing, and then Quantum Motorsport. We are delighted to be joined by two drivers who is on the podium in the chat now. We can speak to that of Gary Leach, first of all. Gary, race 1, not the way you'd have wanted it to go, but race 2, a lot better, just nowhere near the pace to keep up with Sam.
Nah, Sam was in a different league tonight. As you know, with me, first race was sort of see what the car's going to do. Again, made a few changes, made it better. I still had a load of push on nearly every corner, so that was a bit of a balancing act to try and keep it going in the right direction. But yeah, it's all in all a good points haul. So yeah, we'll take that.
You must have had your heart in your mouth at one stage, though. De Block had a big snap nearly into the side of you, and it tank slapped the other way into the wall. A bit scary at that point.
Of course, to be fair, yeah. I nearly backed out of it. That was very close. So, yes, one of them things, if it took me out, it took me out. Nothing he could have done about it. So, I just got the rub of the green, as they say.
Now, next week, we head to your home. You've always gone well at Snetterton in the past. You love the place. Thoughts on Snetterton next week?
Rain dance? Now, we'll see. I haven't, like I said, I'll probably have a couple of laps tonight. I don't know if I will have a couple of laps, actually. Well, we'll just take it as it comes, won't we? We'll see what we're like in practice, see if I can get on a little bit, and, yeah, try to get some more points for the team.
Well, Gary, congratulations tonight on the P2, and we'll see you next week.
Cheers. Well done, Sam. Top drive, mate.
And Sam Williams, we can speak with now, and it's not for his podium in race 1. It's finally for another race 2 win. It's been since Donington Park. It's took you half a season to get another race 2 win. But that one must feel good because you did it in dominant style.
Oh, so good. So good to get a race win again. Yeah, it took me far too long, like you said. Not the first half of the season I'd have liked. So it was nice to put a stamp back on it and hopefully step off on the right foot and keep this momentum going. But yeah, really, really good. As well as, you know, the race 1 result. I messed up the pit slightly, otherwise I could have got out in front of him. But I'll take the second. Very, very, very happy, yeah.
Wales win at the weekend in the final Six Nations game. You win tonight. It's like it's all come at once.
It's all coming together. It's all coming together.
The first half kind of is now behind you. That's done. Into that second half of the season, you've got to carry this momentum forward now to try and stay in this championship hunt. Because Steve and Gary, yes, Steve had a bad night tonight, but Gary's looking consistent week in, week out. It's going to be hard to close that gap.
Yes, it is. Fortunately, I think the second half of the season favours me. Apart from Indianapolis, I've got some work to do there. But other than that, very confident. So if I can keep this going, then I might still be in it. I don't know. So I put my practice in. I like the tracks coming up. So let's see what we can do.
Well, Snetterton next week. Just talk us through that one. What can you do there?
So put some pretty good times in pre-season. Spent a lot of time at Snetterton and touring cars and stuff. So yeah, feeling the car feels pretty good around there as well. Very stable again. So I'm looking to do the same thing again. Well, if not get first in race one.
Well, we wish you the best of luck, Sam, for next week. Congratulations on tonight, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you very much, and thank you for putting on a great show as always.
Oh, my pleasure. Langers.
Cheers, guys.
Well, I just want to say great job to both of you tonight. And I do want to point something out, Sam. I got to joke with you a little bit because you've just absolutely dominated tonight. So I did realize that you still had a spare 17 liters at the line this time. So
I thought I'd gotten away with it. I thought I'd gotten away with no comment. But yeah, no, fair play. You have to put it in. Yes. Fair to say, I'm pretty overcautious with the fuel now. I was putting decent lap times in with a good fuel load in the first stint, so I thought, well, let's just bring it in.
I did say maybe the monkey on your back was me because you hadn't won a race 2 with me commentating yet. So I did realize. Congratulations, you finally tossed me away off your back. So I expect you to do it next week now. So, no, but great drive tonight. Complete weekend, great job as well. Gary, very consistent and making that championship.
Well, I was putting
possibly
decent lap
with
times
Steve
in
not having the greatest night, but great drive from you both and great action out on track.
Let's just bring it in.
I did say maybe the monkey on your back was me because you hadn't won a race 2 with me commentating yet. So I did realize. Congratulations, you finally tossed me away off your back. So I expect you to do it.
Cracking night's worth of results. No, actually, do you know what? I'm going to go Neil Broom for my bronze driver of the day. 2 podiums for Neil Broom, a second and a third. Great results for him. Just closing that gap in that championship as well. So, yeah, great night all around. You can join me back in the commentary box tomorrow night for more of the pro action here at SimPlay Motorsport as we get ready to take on Watkins Glen. Looks a little hotter, so we'll see what will bring, what will come of. Sorry, at Laguna Seca. Seems a little hotter, so we'll see what will come of that one in a week's tomorrow night. But we head back to the British Isles of Snetterton in Norfolk. Gary's home circuit. He's always gone well there at SimPlay Motorsport and on other leagues when we've been at Snetterton. Can he keep up that form going into next week? As always, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and don't forget to check out Design Manchester, our fantastic partner and sponsor for the SimPlay series. In the description below, producers of vinyl graphics, laser engraved gifts, mugs, and much more, including SimPlay Motorsport merchandise. So make sure you head over there. But once again, thank you all for tuning in. We will see you in a week's time tomorrow night. Sorry, for Snetterton. We'll see the Pro-Ams in a week's time for. I've done it again. We'll see you tomorrow night for Laguna Seca. We'll see you in a week's time for Snetterton for the Who Darren Cup and Pro-Am.